Hey guys, give me a sec here while I get started. "365, good to see you, man. Hair looking nice," says 365. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Whew. So let's update a little bit. Talk a little bit and update. So as you guys know, I've been getting organized, doing a lot of stuff to get organized, and so we took care of the project that I was working on little by little. As you guys know, I told you about this already. It was the pile of Pokemon. So I finally got my pile of Pokemon. As you can see, I got it all together so that I can have a pile of Pokemon here. Yes, that's right. Excuse me, sorry. This coffee is cleaning me out. Sorry. That's right, lock in for the update. I appreciate that. So anyway, been getting organized, and as you guys know, I did finally beat Consort Radon on Elden Ring DLC. I did finally do that. I didn't glitch him out. I didn't cheese it in any way. I just legitimately, and I didn't have a million things that I loaded on beforehand. I just went in and did it. And as you guys know, we did it just right on stream. I just sort of kind of just started trying it, and I just did it, and it just happened. And so we talked about on the follow-up stream. We talked about New Game Plus, and that's exactly what I did. So I did New Game Plus, and I did start that. So that's where we're at with that's where I arrived at with Elden Ring recently. I finally got Consort Radon. Did you play the Demon's Souls remake? Yes. I actually streamed it a little bit. So if you can find a way to search my channel, there's a search option on the browser mode on the browser version of YouTube. You have a search option on people's channels where you will be able to actually search that person's channel, just their channel, for something. So I know you're probably aware of that, 365, but I figured I would say that for anybody that isn't aware. If there's something that you're curious about, did Sifu play this, or did, cover this, or whatever, you can usually just type it in, that search bar, and as long as that is related to it, it should find it okay. But for the most part, I try to keep things pretty, like title wise, so you can find that stuff. You wonder if they will add that to mobile. You know, that's something. That's actually a good suggestion. 365. I had wondered that myself a while back, but I haven't seen it added to mobile yet. As far as like searching specific channels. I mean, obviously you still have a search, function in general, but as far as searching channels, I don't see it on mobile, and we've had a search function on browser for I don't even know how long. I don't even. It's been a while. So yeah, for sure you can search, and I understand not knowing that. I mean, like, a lot of people like yourself probably don't even go on to YouTube on the browser, um, page. You might use, the app version, like pretty much everything you use. So, um, you wouldn't necessarily see that then. So, yeah, good points there. And we started. So yes, Demon's Souls. I played it a little bit. I didn't play a lot of it. Um, it's just because I started that actually not that long ago, and you guys know that we're playing a lot, so it's a matter of just finding the time to fit that in. But it's really good. I had absolutely nothing negative whatsoever. I'd have to really try to probably find something to criticize. So I thought it was really fun. That based on the limited amount I played it, I thought it was really fun. But yeah, I did play it. So we started if you guys remember, I've talked about how, for some of you that have been around long enough to remember, I've talked about how, one of the games that I really, really enjoyed playing, a long while back was Resident Evil. The first game that was like remade, for like the GameCube and stuff, because that's where I played it. I played it on GameCube, and so we had started that on stream recently, and that was really fun. It was really fun playing that again, and it is so impressive how good that game still looks. I know that there are things about it that might seem dated to others, but truthfully, when you play it, and it's still immersive, the scenes are still articulated in such a way that you're not taken out of it by those dated graphics, because it's the sort of thing where it just fits so well with how they did it, and they've kept updating it. So obviously it wouldn't look like that if they hadn't done that, but they have kept updating it, and it looks so good. Obviously it's not going to look like a new game, don't expect that, but I'm really, really impressed, especially by the character models, how well they got those updated. Because that can really date a game for sure. Especially that time period, it was really hard for them to get the faces right. So when you go back, faces are either goofy or they're not. And man, did they get that right for this. So it's the sort of thing that you can just really say it puts a staple in it for Capcom. That is a staple game, no question. I would say that obviously 4 is too, but no question the remake that came out on GameCube, the one that we just started playing, again recently on PC now. That is a staple game for Capcom for sure. So it was just cool going back to that again. And so that was recent. Obviously, a lot of you guys probably know about that one. But you know, if you don't, that was not that long ago. You know, the most recent game we played on the channel. We played that game. It's called Distance, right? So this brings me to kind of a little bit of what I wanted to talk about too, for a little bit of subject matter. So, you know, now that we're past kind of the updates, we're caught up, like kind of what's been going on and stuff. I want to talk a little bit about names. I know I've mentioned this before, but I think this is a common thing that advertising professionals actually get wrong, and I'd like to help with this. So, you know, listen up, because I think it's really important. It's important to remember that when you're naming something, not just a video game, but like a movie, too. This has to be something that fits with obviously what you're doing with it. You know, obviously has to fit with the game, has to fit with the movie. You know, whatever it is that we're naming has to fit, obviously. So it can't be ridiculous just for the sake of you know, a good name. However, a very common thing that I think that is underestimated in the media market is just how something can fall victim to a bad name. Where we can have games and movies that people seemingly just totally forget about because of a bad name, because it's not a memorable name. And I'd like to talk a little bit about that. All right, so there's ways of you can like test this. You can like try out names with groups of people and stuff that you know and things like that. But there are ways of testing this, okay? But I'm gonna run you through something that I think that you can kind of do, like a little bit of a logic train that you can do with yourself, as far as, you know, a starting point at least, you know, with naming things properly, because you know, like it. If I can recognize it, I can help with it. So let me at least give you a little bit of, you know, help with this, because it's pretty obvious to me, and it may not be to everybody. You know, somebody might think, well, that's a great name, you know, but that doesn't mean that your opinion's correct. Does that make sense? Like, I understand it's your opinion, and you might think it's a great name. Doesn't mean it's correct for advertising. And it doesn't mean it's a memorable name for advertising in such a way that it's going to make money for the thing. Because you need that name. Now, it needs to fit. And I understand wanting to pick a name that you want and stuff like that. But it still has to be memorable enough that people don't forget it. So, I promise you, the name Distance. Nobody's going to remember a game called Distance. It's just called Distance. Distance what? Why? It's just one word, and it's such a common... So here's my logic on this, okay? And you can do this with other things too, but find a logical, common, reasonable ground as to why. For this one, it's going to be different. It really will be. You can't necessarily say that any one name will have the same reason as to why it's memorable versus another one. For the most part, some will though. Distance, it's the sort of thing where it's such a common name, like a common word that you use. Why? How are people going to remember? You know what I mean? Like the distance from here to here, and then you want people to say and remember a game called Distance? It's too common of a word. People use it in regular speech. Suddenly, if you take a word that sounds like distance, but isn't distance, like dissidence or distant something, suddenly it changes it. So you can get close, but just like obviously it's just a fit. But I'm just saying, it's too common of a word. That's all. So, like, that doesn't necessarily apply to why something else is why you can't use a title, because don't rack your brain on that. See, here's where I think people get it wrong. They rack their brain on, well, I can apply this to everything. No. It's not a universal rule where now that's the reason why every other title. No, there's going to be different reasons. Now, maybe there's like, I don't know, 5 or 6. I don't know. I can't sit here and say that I have them all figured out. I'm just saying that there's ones I know about. And, it's kind of obvious. So I'm just going to give you the one I know about and talk about it a little bit and in the ways that I see and I know about. That's all. Doesn't mean that somebody else isn't going to find out another reason and stuff like that. And that's part of why, again, talking about this is good, because then other people can realize it and, add their own intelligent input, think about it in their brain and from their perspective, and they'll come up with a different answer. That's how we all help each other and get over, get over this lump of not understanding a lot of stuff. Because I'll be honest with you, like, it's me, too. You know what I mean? Like, everything's just super complicated anymore. So, a game that I played somewhat recently, and you guys know, sometimes I'll type a different title into my stream. Right, like than the title of the game. It might sound like this, so I type that, and it trends more maybe. So obviously, maybe for copyright reasons, sometimes they can't necessarily call it that. But it's not like you couldn't use any variation thereof, So anyway, one of the games I was playing somewhat recently, you guys know. We've talked about this and played this a little bit. It's called a game called War Pips. War Pips. Who the hell is going to remember this? War Pips? War Pips. So you're going to go to work or wherever and talk to your buddies and be like, hey guys, last night, they're all like, man, beat this boss in Elden Ring, blood, dirt, and you're gonna be like, hey guys, I was playing War Pips. What? War Pips? War Pigs? No, War Pips. War Pigs? War Pips. Pip? You're saying Pip. War Pip, like P-I-P? Yes, War Pip. Oh. Nope. Okay, never heard of that. That sounds cool. What the hell's that about? And you have to explain it. Because there's nothing about the title that tells you anything about the game. And they're going to forget it by the next day because again, while it's something not usual, it's so unusual. And it's too close to something else. Now it's disassociation. If I call it War Pigs, everybody will say it War Pigs. Everybody will see that. They won't even see War Pips. They'll see War Pigs. There's a really good meme about this, and I'm going to use somebody's name because the meme uses somebody's name. So, sorry about this, man, but it fits perfectly. So, basically, the whole point is if you have a word disassociation as like a title for a game or something, unless it would help people remember it. You know what I mean? Like, unless it's somehow related to the thing that you're talking about, don't use that thing. Now, with War Pips, that sort of ends up working. War Pigs, that's fine. That's actually not that big of a deal with that one. So that one's not too bad, okay? So that's where, again, you saw me do that, and I could take advantage of the fact that we can call it that and get the trending and stuff off of it and all that. If again, you're gonna like basically when you have a title of a game and it has that disassociation. Okay, now basically you're nobody you're causing people to like actually forget the it works against it. It actually works against it. So now it's a word disassociation. So I apologize. I'm going to use the meme. Sorry, dude. Here it is. Okay, I know I already started it. I'm going to give you an example, okay? Here's a word disassociation. Where basically now if you hear it this way or see it this way, it'll be hard for you to not see it or hear it that way any longer. Does that make sense? So if you're going to do this, the thing you're doing it with can't be bigger. You know what I mean? Otherwise, that thing wins. People will just remember that thing, and they don't remember the real. So, the Chris Pratt meme, the Chris Pratt meme, the Chris Pratt one. You guys know the Chris Pratt one. So, I guess it's a meme or something, but somebody told me about it. Basically, the concept is, his name sounds like Crisp Rat. So now that I've told you that and you've heard that, because it's funny, especially because it's funny, because it sounds absurd, Crisp Rat. It just sounds ridiculous and absurd, right? It's sort of a little bit funny. So because that's funny, and also Chris Pratt himself is funny, you know what I mean? Like he's sort of a funny guy, and your memory of him is good, right? So now it's just funny, and that's actually a positive thing. So hopefully he sees it that way. But that's actually a positive one where that would actually boost him because he is so positive and stuff like that. Now, I mean, like obviously there's little tiny little things here and there that somebody's image versus a title of something or something like that can be different. Obviously, if they have a certain image a certain way and they want to maintain that image a certain way, an actor does, It's the sort of thing where I know how I would personally feel, but it's the sort of thing where I think he can take a little bit of a joke, obviously. His team just won the Super Bowl, so he's fine. His team just won the Super Bowl, so he's fine. Anyway. Don't do word disassociations as a generalization. Doing them is sort of like like it makes somebody think of the other thing. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? That's all. Now somebody hears about like a rat or something like that, they're just gonna think of Chris Pratt now. So that's actually a good thing. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's actually a good thing. There are times where it's not. So I'm just saying there are times where it's not. When you when you have something cool like, like Star Wars or something like that, it's already cool. People remember it. It's nostalgic. So you don't have much to do there. Really all you gotta do is make sure that whatever name you amend to that fits with the story. Because otherwise, people are going to be real freaking confused later down the line. Be like, why is this even called this? Doesn't even make any sense. Some of these names should be flipped around. So, it's already called something awesome, and then, Phantom Menace. The fuck is that? Look, the Phantom Menace was awesome. It was a good movie. I actually really liked the movie. But what the hell is that name? Let's just call it Darth Maul. Why don't you literally just call it Darth Maul? If that's what you're going to do, just call it Darth Maul. Or, again, if you don't want to call it Darth Maul, again, Phantom Menace, who cares? If you're not going to call it Darth Maul, at least call it Anakin. Or the Anakin Chronicle, or something like... For the love of God, Phantom Menace? Why don't you call it The Balance? Since, the whole point was Anakin was supposed to balance the Force and then he turned evil. Like, yeah, I mean, like, A New Hope. Yep, exactly. Luke is the New Hope. Yep. Empire Strikes Back? Yep. They did. Yep, that's exactly what happened in that movie. The Empire, they got him back. Yeah. So much so there was an ending, but not really. You know what I mean? Like, it was an obvious continuation. And then Return of the Jedi. Yeah, Luke kicked some ass, didn't he? Yeah, so again, perfectly titled movies. The Last Jedi. It's so annoying. The Last Jedi. The Last Jedi. So, even like The Force Awakens, and again, not a terrible name. Like, that one's not terrible. But The Force Awakens, with that one, even that, like, needed some work. But the whole point was, alright, this is the guy that's going to direct the rest of them. And then he left the series. And they got a different director. Like, why did we switch directors? Because you're pressured by an idiotic fan base doesn't know what the hell they're talking about? Yes. And then, again, remember that, like, this is what people always do. They always highly debate sequels when they come out. It's just that you have to understand that the more connected people get and instant things become on the internet and stuff like that, the faster these people that think they're critics can criticize things. That's all. That doesn't mean they're right. Like, there's opinions, too. Obviously, one person's opinions versus another is different, but there's also, like, valid criticisms for movies and stuff that again, like, this is a valid criticism because of this. And not just somebody, just saying something, just, I didn't like that, and not really having a very good reason, And then, or the reason's invalid, like, you can disprove it. You can talk about how, it just is not something credible, So, and this is all the time, with it, at least for me, I have discovered that people do this all the time with very complex trilogies, Harry Potter, The Matrix, Star Wars. It is very common, I have found, that people don't remember gaps, and I think, like, got up from the theater or something like that, watched it once, talked the whole time, fell asleep through half of it. Like, it's very obvious to me that there's just a good percentage of people that throughout history, they are people that they don't really want to do this thing that they're trying to do. They're doing it as, like, a social thing. They don't really want to do it. You know what I mean? So I just, like, I often wonder why those people don't, just own up to the fact that they want to, like, sort of kind of just get around and talk. You know? You know what I mean? Instead of seeing a movie, paying to see a movie, or something like that, and then, trying to tell everybody that they hated it, and crapping on it, and stuff like that, and making the movie, or whatever it is, the game, or whatever it is, look bad, when really, they weren't really that interested in the first place, They just wanted to go talk or did that thing for a social thing, and stuff like that. It's not people that talk about it after. No, the people that talk about it after and they like it and stuff like that. No, that's what they like. They want to find other people that also like it so they can talk about it and it's fun to talk about. And it's like, oh yeah, you remember this part? That was awesome, and stuff like that. That's great. Now there are people hear it. Oh yeah, that was a good movie. This happens. I've had that happen. You're talking to somebody in the store. Somebody overhears you. Hey, what movie was that again? And they're like, oh yeah, that was a great movie. What? I totally forgot about that movie. I'm gonna have to go home and watch that now. Stuff like that. And again, because smart people were having conversation about it, they cared about it, and talked about it, and again, cared enough to pay attention, retain it. But again, the whole point is they're valid critiquing valid criticisms, not just based on the 40% of the movie that you watched because you fell asleep and didn't really give an F. Based on the 40% that you saw, you didn't like it. You know what I mean? It's sort of like, like you play a song for somebody, right? And you try to play a song, and they're like, all right, I really want you to listen to the song. And then you crank it up so they can listen to it. And then they start, try to spark up a conversation with you. Like, you're like, all right, listen to this song. And then you crank it up. And they're like, did you play that game? Did you play, I thought we were listening to a song. It's like I'm fine with having a conversation. I'll just turn the music down. That's fine. But you know what I mean? If we're gonna sit here and listen to a song, we're gonna listen to a song. We're not gonna have a conversation while the music is at cranked up volume. What the hell? That doesn't make any sense. With songs, sing-alongs. Yeah, I mean that's fine too. I love it when people sing along and we can jam out to a song. That's great. That's perfectly fine. But you know what I mean? It's more like, I wanted you to listen to the song. You haven't heard it. You said you haven't heard it. Should have played it for you. So it's sort of like I told you guys with that scene in The Matrix, Reloaded, where, I told you guys that people used to tell me they didn't understand how, or why this guy randomly attacked Neo and Zion, and you know what I mean, and he was just all evil now and attacking people. They didn't understand that. And I'm thinking to myself, did you fall asleep or something? And this is actually, it was actually fairly common. Because, I looked this up online, and it wasn't something where, this person was just by themselves. So, I feel like there's a certain point where attention span is an issue for people, and they want to get up and have an intermission. And that's fine, but I feel like I wish people would say that and accept that and understand that so they can pay attention to the movie and not miss those sections. Because they'll be like, oh no, don't pause it or something like that, and then they'll get up. If it's a comedy or something, whatever. But, if you're talking about something like The Matrix and you want to understand it and then you're going to criticize it later for not making any sense, don't get up during the movie and miss any dialogue then. because the dialogue where they meet the Merovingian, in the restaurant, that scene is so important. That is so important. People miss that. People miss the importance of that entire section of the movie. And so the point is, the reason why that guy attacked Neo in Zion, which what led to again, them being on the opposite tables of each other on that ship and stuff after Neo discovered his powers extended into the real world and stuff like that. Freaking awesome, right? The reason why, again, that happened was because the point was that Smith was tracking them as they were leaving the Matrix. And right as this dude was leaping out of the Matrix, the whole point was Smith showed up and doubled the guy like he was been doubling. Remember when Neo fought all the Smiths and stuff like that? That's what he did. Right when the guy was leaping out of the Matrix, he put the phone to his ear. He turned his head and Smith went boom and doubled him right as he was leaping out. So that guy became Agent Smith in the real world. He didn't have powers or anything like that, but because the whole point was he was just getting used to, that vessel, if you want to call it that. So he wasn't quite what Neo had done in the real world yet. But if he had enough time, probably. Because the whole point was he's the opposite equation to Neo. He will get just as strong as Neo, just opposite as Neo gets strong too. So the whole point was it was a very biblical sort of Jesus kind of thing, where that was the whole point. It was always leading to this. It was always... Remember the whole point? That was even why he said it at the end of Revolutions. You were right, Smith. It was always inevitable. I loved the fact that he felt compelled to say that line because, yeah, it's so true, and it came full circle because the whole point was that pissed Smith off enough to do exactly what Neo wanted him to do in that moment. Because if Neo thought about this, the whole point was, if he thought about it, I want him to do this, Smith's going to figure it out. So the whole point was that he had to sit there and angrily sort of bait him to kind of do that. And not just destroy him. Because that was the whole point. Was that it seemed like at a certain point the system probably created Smith to get rid of Neo. So he had to outsmart this, was the point. Because he probably figured it's inevitable. He's not going to beat Smith. He physically can't do it. So he has to go down with him, and he has to... The whole point was he had to get inside Smith's software. Because they're all in the Matrix, right? If he can get in Smith's software, he can dismantle him. The only way he can do that... You guessed it. That's why it came full circle to just that moment in that first Matrix movie when he did that to him the first time. That's why the whole point was that Neo knew that's what he had to do. He had to think about it. Remember, he's thinking a lot, doing a lot of thinking. That's what he realized he had to do. He knew he had to do that. He just didn't know how he was going to do it. And he knew he had to make a deal with the machines because he needed their help. Because right when he did that, he needed them to stop to make sure that he was going to get that deal out of that. He really did save everyone and everything. He had a solution, but didn't share because he couldn't. Everything had to be exactly as it was. Trinity played a role, Morpheus played a role, Neo played... All of them played their roles, and it was so fucking well done. And so many people just miss so many little details about that. I remember when I was first watching that through, and I was on my 12th or 13th time watching, Reloaded way back. And I remember even telling people on like my 12th, 13th time through, there's still things that I'm seeing even now that I didn't see all those other times. It's that complex of a story. So to sit here and say, and I pay attention, so to sit here and say that you can actually fall asleep and still get it and just miss sections and stuff, no, you won't. You won't. It's not something to be rude. I'm just trying to tell you, you're going to think it's bad. You saw the Melania movie. It was bad. 365 says he saw the Melania movie. And it was bad. That's funny. I didn't pay for it. Don't tell anyone I saw the movie. Except you just said it in chat, and I just said it just now. What do you mean 365? They didn't pay for you to watch the movie? So yeah, with names again, you want it to be simple and memorable, but again, it can't be something too common that is in regular speech. That again, distance. Is such a regular word, you know. Just the name of the game is distance, you know. Let's talk about a bad name of something that's successful. Because this can happen. Things that are successful can have bad names too. And it might be why people thought it was bad initially. You know what I mean? And then they gave it another chance and they're like, holy shit, this is actually really good. What's this called again? And they have to remember the name because it's not so great. Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad is it's a terrible name. It's a terrible name. Now, everybody knows this show, because again, I think the final episode was probably the most watched show on television, right? Most watched show on television, I think. I think that broke some records. Like, I know some other shows did that too, but I think when it came out, the very last episode was the most watched show on television when it aired, I think. But again, that show breaks records. It's a phenomenal show, phenomenal. But it's a terrible name. It is. It's awful. It doesn't roll off the tongue. Breaking Bad. I mean, like it's the sort of thing where you hear it. If you didn't know what it was, you'd be like, Breaking Bad? Breaking Bad. Like, what is he breaking badly? Himself? Oh, he's Breaking Bad. Oh. And then again, you have to remember this. You know, like, again, it's almost like maybe in a part of the country, people say this as a modern colloquialism, but people elsewhere don't hear it. You know, it's almost like that. It's almost like maybe this is a common colloquialism somewhere in a central area, but I don't know that I heard it ever before the show came out, like, just as a term. Obviously, now I understand the term. But when I first heard the name of the show, I actually had to look that up. I was like, what the hell does that even mean? Breaking Bad? You're breaking... What? Breaking Bad. What is this? What Breaking Bad? So I looked up like what this means, like the actual term itself, and I'm like, oh, like the guy. Oh, okay, I get it. So the whole point is you start watching the show, and the most common thing I hear about that show, where people don't watch it, is that it's boring. Right? Anybody that watches the show, that loves the show, knows it's not boring. That show is not fucking boring. It's the opposite of boring. It's one of the most interesting shows on television. Holy crap. That is the opposite of boring. And the most common thing I hear is that people stop watching the show because they got bored. You didn't watch it long enough. The beginning of the show is supposed to make you bored. You are supposed to feel how bored this guy's life is. You're supposed to feel how worthless and boring Walter White is. Like that's the whole point. This guy is boring as shit. And spoilers, okay? He gets a cancer diagnosis. He's just a hugely overqualified chemistry teacher in a public school, and he gets a cancer diagnosis. And basically his family can't take care of anything. He's terminal. So he starts cooking meth. So just the fact that people think it's boring. The whole point is you're supposed to think that. And the first episode's not even boring. Did you finish the first episode? Did you get to the part where he's like in his tighty whities in the desert and the fire trucks roll by because they think that they're caught and shit like that? And, like, did you not even watch the whole thing? Whatever. Look, I feel like people don't get to a certain point. I feel like they I don't know, they just fall asleep, or they don't watch whole sections and stuff like that. Maybe fell asleep, they played to the end, so they stopped it. Thought they watched the whole thing, but they didn't. They skipped the whole section, maybe. I don't know. But look, the point is, that show starts off very, very slow because you're supposed to feel how boring this guy's life is, and he's questioning what he wants to. He's a good person. He doesn't want to do this. It's very much to help the fam. Like, the whole point is he doesn't want to do any of this, and he's not like this, and he gets scared away very, very easily at first. Like, he is very much not Heisenberg at first. And that's sort of the point of the show. Is, again, these are spoilers, but again, the point of the show is that they take this guy and completely do a 180 with his character. He is very much a completely different character by the end of the show. I mean, even by season 3. There's only like 5 seasons, I think. And has a definitive ending. It is a binge show. And it is. And it's funny. Like, okay, look, I know it doesn't seem like it's funny. It's funny because Bryan Cranston. Do you guys know Malcolm in the Middle? Malcolm in the Middle? Do you remember Malcolm in the Middle? The show Malcolm in the Middle? Bryan Cranston was the dad on that show. So if you remember that show and you remember kind of how funny the dad was and stuff like that, he's just sort of like that. Bryan Cranston has this natural sort of improv ability to sort of be kind of funny with his lines, with the way he delivers them. Like, he's just like that. So that's why it's so genius, and that's why he fit the role so well too. He was like absolutely perfection. There wasn't anybody else better for that. Like, nobody. Anna Gunn too. She's phenomenal. Obviously, Aaron Paul. I love Aaron Paul. He was great in Need for Speed, as well. But Aaron Paul, his character, I don't even think was supposed to exist past the first season, and he was so good as Jesse Pinkman. Jesse Pinkman had to stay on the show. This had to. He couldn't go anywhere. And, that's the whole point, because Jesse Pinkman was sort of, again, spoilers. The whole point is Jesse Pinkman ended up being, like, the good guy. Whereas, again, like, it's a 180 situation where Walt, 180. Jesse, 180. Again, the whole point was, he just came out being sort of a hero a little bit, and then you gotta love the Hank, the character Hank and stuff like that. Just and Gus Fring. Gus Fring is quite possibly one of the coolest bad guys on any TV show. Like, he's up there. He's up there. With some of those legendary roles that, like, even like De Niro and stuff played, like some of those bad guys and stuff like that. Like, this Gus Fring is unlike any other bad guy. He's just brilliant. How he's written, how he's played, brilliant. And the character Mike too, Mike Ehrmantraut. I loved Saul, and then Better Call Saul ended up being its own show too. It was a very successful spin-off. So again, great show, phenomenal show, outstanding show, love it. But another example of something where, again, you don't have a name, I think, that people understand and resonate with. They just don't get it. And it's not something they're used to hearing or something like that. So they hear it and it just doesn't make any sense to them. The show really picks up for sure, like when he makes that definitive change. Again, spoilers, but that definitive change where he goes from Walt to Heisenberg. Basically when he's upset about the fact that they roughed up Jesse. And so he goes in there and does his Heisenberg thing. But he hadn't done it yet. Like, that's the whole point. That's where he starts, and it's definitively... And again, that is the first time he announces that he's Heisenberg. So, and he does a very Heisenberg thing right at the end of that, and walks right out of that place. So, it's the sort of thing where, like, you're supposed to realize... Damn, that actually would be a very epic... Like, in real life, if he really did that, yeah. Yep. That would be a very, very definitive way of spreading the word that he means business, and this is not a guy you screw with. And he's the dorkiest dude on the planet. And it's so funny. Because it's just Bryan Cranston, too. So, like, he just plays this so brilliantly. He does. He's Heisenberg. He plays it so well. Um, so, uh, I actually liked El Camino too. That's a good name. El Camino's a good name. That's a good name. Yeah, because you've heard it before. You're like, oh yeah, that resonates. Um. Oh, I'm sorry, 365. We've been talking about Breaking Bad. I was talking about how Breaking Bad doesn't necessarily have the best name. Where, like, again, we're talking about bad names and stuff like that. Again, everybody is aware of the show now, so it's, you know, like, you're picking one of the most watched shows in history, if not the most watched, and so, you know, saying it's a bad name. So it's hard to say that at this point and realize it is, but no, truthfully it is, because again, it's not a very common thing that you hear. It's really, really hard to resonate with people and for them to necessarily, you know, put any stock in understanding immediately what the show is about. You know, just hearing the name. They would have to look it up. They would have to get somebody to tell them about it. You get what I'm saying? Okay. Here's one that I see very commonly. Now, this is not... We're going to go on to games a little bit, okay? Because I think it's important more in the gaming. Now, for movies and stuff like that, with movies, a lot of that can change things when you put a certain actor or certain advertising on it. It actually can. Because that's going to gravitate certain things, you know. But with a game, now again, we're starting to use A-list actors and stuff in games too, and put them in games, so more recognizable advertising. But with games, what you have to understand is if that happens. Yeah, I mean, you could have a franchise just really where you have a really good game and you named it this thing and just nobody cares about it because of a name. It's terrible, but it's the truth. And again, it's because there's not enough commonality. Again, if there's too much commonality, obviously, we already talked about that. But if you have something where this is a term that's almost never used, and now it's a long word, too. So, a very, very common one. A very common one, and I am not the only one that does this. I just heard somebody else do it on a video, and this is a very, very well-known streamer, very intelligent person, and they couldn't remember the name of this game either, okay? And this is... I have done this. You guys know I have done this with this game, and other people have done this with you. I've heard a separate streamer from this, another streamer, do this with this game before. So, again, this is now 3 different people, including myself, on this platform that have forgotten the name of this game. And it's pretty simple. It's a pretty simple name. And that game is Outer Worlds. That game is Outer Worlds. Outer Worlds. Outer Worlds. So, do I need to say it? Do I need to say it? Or have we realized it? Now, I know I was talking about words and associations and stuff like that, so maybe you should start kind of putting it together and figuring it out a little bit at this point. But for those who haven't, I'll put it together for you. So this is word association, and this is what they're doing with that advertising. So they were trying very hard to be really, really smart, and that's why this failed. Because they're trying to trick you with subliminal advertising. However, it epically failed. It's a terrible name. Now here's why they're trying to subliminally trick you. And there's no way they didn't do this on purpose. Because here's why. Okay? Outer Worlds. Alright? What game does this remind you of? We all know what game it reminds you of. We all know. Okay? So, and it's even one word. It's even pluralized. Let's discuss how, again, outer could also be defined as a border, right? An outer edge is a border, right? And worlds could be defined as what? Lands, right? So, outer worlds, border lands, okay? And there is no fucking way they didn't do that on purpose. There is no fucking way. Borderlands, Outer Worlds. And the game fucking looks how much like it? Now, I'm not shitting on it because it was great. I played it. It was great. And there's a second one out. But here's where I gotta call them out a little bit because I feel like, aren't they still charging, even all the way up until they release a second one, I'm pretty sure they were charging full freaking price for that thing. I'm pretty sure. I don't think they are anymore, but I know the second one they are. Here, look. There's no way. Outer Worlds, and again, this is why nobody remembers the name. Because it's a terrible name. Borderlands. It is so easy to say. It is so easy to say. Borderland. Borderlands. Just rolls right off the tongue. Borderlands. 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 Brilliant. Whoever the fuck named that, you are a goddamn genius. Outer Worlds? Nope, it's too hard to say. Outer Worlds, Outer Worlds, Outer Worlds. Think about other languages. Especially when people are playing this games in other countries. Think about who's playing this. Specifically, Asian cultures. Chinese, Japanese, Korean. They have trouble pronouncing that sort of it's the sort of it's the like a CH and stuff like that. There's certain things that they have trouble with because it's not common in their language, if that makes sense. And so that's why. And so like you're gonna use these things that are already annoying for us to say, Outer Worlds, but now you're going to expect all these other languages. Like I was just using the Asian languages as an example. I'm sure there's stuff. I'm trying to think of a single thing because of enunciation and in the English language. I'm trying to think of a. The syllable in the Asian language where it's not really like a G, it's sort of like a silent, like gung. We actually would have trouble with that. So there's actually like they have the same sort of thing. So like the point is, then why would they make a habit of putting that stuff in titles of things? They don't. That's why like Chinese restaurants, everything's chicken. Okay? You you get what I'm saying? So it's the truth though. And, you know, also just because, you know, what the reality is most people here aren't going to eat insects and stuff like that. So, you know, all the other stuff that they eat that we won't touch, that an average person won't. I'm sure plenty of people will, but it's just, you know, the regular, you know, the average Joe will be like, ew, you know. So there's no way they didn't try that. You know, again, Borderlands, Outer Worlds. Okay, so the outer is a border, and worlds are lands. So again, there's no way they didn't do that on purpose. They intentionally used subliminal marketing, knowing that Borderlands was the game everybody was going to think of while playing that. There is no way they didn't do that, okay? There's no way. There's no freaking way. So, I'm just putting that out there. But, you know, again, with that being said, that's important to remember that that's partially why it's not doing well. Borderlands is so successful and memorable and rolls right off the tongue. Borderlands, 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 Borderlands. Outer Worlds, Outer Worlds. It's actually hard to say. Outer Worlds. I have to move my bottom lip twice within two different syllables. It's hard to do. You're using more face muscles to do it. Whoa, 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 whoa. Outer Worlds. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Outer Worlds. It's hard to do. Whoa, whoa, whoa. It's hard to do. So the point is that you want to understand that not everybody's going to be able to do these things. Again, a very common thing for them, you know, the Asian languages would be a CH sound. They just really, it sounds more like SH when they say it. They try to go to the ch. They try to really stop it at the ch. But again, really truthfully, they have trouble with that. It's just something that I know about. That's all. But as far as again, like games are concerned, that's just one example of something where again I can say of three if you include me, streamers on this platform that are that have that same problem where they cannot, you know what I mean? They cannot remember the name of that game. So I'm just watching as somebody is sitting here poking and prodding at my desktop. You guys know how I've been having issues with hacks and stuff. You know, the rogue AI. I'm watching as my desktop sits here and refreshes for absolutely no reason whatsoever. I'm just like literally watching as everything refreshes. And like, are you dumb? Like, like this is the point. Like, there's always these little signs that I don't talk about. And as soon as I talk about them, somebody goes, "Oh, let me like the stream," because right there he's confirming the thing that I needed him to confirm. It's like, yeah. Yep. Confirmed. You are, in fact, looking at the device I'm streaming from. Congratulations. Jesus. Jesus. That regularly sitting here, and what you guys have to realize is this is everybody. They're just sitting here like the feds, pen testers, amateurs, everybody. They're literally just sitting here randomly hacking. Because, again, the Trump administration did away with cybersecurity. So they can. That's it. Literally just because in the US, anybody can be hacked now. If that's not the case, then why is it that as soon as I said because the Trump administration, we saw somebody remove a like and spam the laugh emoji? That's the first time I've seen that the whole stream. Nobody's done that the whole stream. Yet the very second that I mentioned how the Trump administration is very clearly doing this, very clearly defunding cybersecurity. I mean, all you have to do is literally look up the executive order where he defunded cybersecurity. It went away. Overnight, they fired shitloads of FBI agents where their job is to literally do this and protect you. They fired them. Gone. No cybersecurity in the U.S. Why do you think this is all happening? And they can just sit here and run psyops on U.S. citizens. So that's what North Korea is doing, that's what Iran is doing, that's what China is doing, that's what anybody is doing that can, in fact, do it. It has the resources and means to do so. So basically, an asshole with a laptop that knows how to hack can do it. That's how pathetic Donald Trump's administration is. Remember, Democrats always got shit done. JFK was a Democrat. You guys remember that, right? You guys know this, right? JFK was a Democrat. He was not a Republican. JFK was a Democrat. He was the one that got shot. Because he was the one for pulling troops out. He was going to not go into Vietnam. He was going to pull them out. He did not fire during the Cuban Missile Crisis. And what happened when he was assassinated? What did his vice president do when he was assassinated? Oh, that's right. The opposite. Boots on the ground. Oh, that's right. The opposite. Boots on the ground. What Republican also got hacked? Again, there's no other Democrat that's ever really made a huge giant mistake as president. Literally, there is no real record of a Democrat president making a really, really big mistake. Period. There just isn't. The worst was, again, Bill with the Monica Lewinsky thing. Who gives a fuck? Oh yeah, confetti. Now we're hitting the confetti button. Yeah. So again, who got hacked? Oh, that's right. Donald Trump got hacked, and so did fucking George W. Bush. George W. Bush's iPod got hacked. Trump got hacked, but he's lying about it. He's not telling anybody. And you won't find out about it until the Trump family is, like, dead, basically. They're gonna sit here and bury the fuck out of anything. You will never find out about half of that shit. You realize that. And that's all he's doing with the Republicans. All he's doing is roping them in so that they endlessly bury his shit for him. So that they're roped into it and they must. That's all he's trying to do. I tried to warn you. Too fucking stupid to realize that this criminal is going to just sit here and make y'all criminals. So, George W. Bush's iPod got hacked. He's also the one that, again, just like Trump, randomly destroyed a country that isn't really doing much of anything to us. You know, again, he said no new wars. He said, then now Venezuela, now Iran. Iran's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Can't afford it. It's gonna happen. We're already broke. The dollar is already depleting in value. The euro is going to be worth more than $1 soon. And we're going to war with Iraq. So again, I want to remind you, Democrats make sense. JFK was a Democrat. Yeah. And he got assassinated for it. He got assassinated because, remember, he was about to give a speech about what was going on behind the scenes. Remember, he was about to give a speech about some shit that was going down. And then we spam the laugh emoji the more I sit here and talk about what JFK was about to do. What the fuck? You know, again, it's like when a CIA agent whistleblows the fact that the CIA has a torture program, and they actually sit here and punish the CIA agent for whistleblowing something that they shouldn't have been allowed to do in the first. Completely illegal. It's a war crime. So basically, the CIA should have been decommissioned, completely buried, destroyed, because they're committing war crimes on behalf of the United States. They assassinated JFK. They were breached by the KGB. They assassinated JFK. They still have men on the inside. And meanwhile, all this shit's going on. George W. Bush's iPod gets hacked. The CIA agent sits here and whistleblows their torture program that they were not allowed to do. And nothing's changed. Nothing. Nothing has changed. There's nothing really changed about the CIA since whistleblowing the torture program. So, how the fuck worse do you think that's gotten? Nothing's changed. What, you think they don't do that now, or something? Nope. All that did was tell them how to hide it better. That's it. That's all it did. So, I mean, it's pretty obvious what's going on. You know, again, you have a moron as president that doesn't understand that foreign nations have breached our country and they have people on the inside, and they always have, and Obama's been trying to deal with this silently, but you shut the fuck up about it, you deal with it. You don't act like a goddamn idiot every single time you're on camera, so that way they can manipulate you. See, this is the problem. The problem is the guy's so easily manipulated. And then you tell him he's so easily manipulated, and then he goes and does that thing. You know, it's just. How do I say this? Less is more. Less is more. That's how I say it. Less is more, Trump. Fucking idiot. Less is more. So, no other president has ever visited North Korea. Do you know why? Do you know why? Because they're briefed on these things and told the very serious security risks, so therefore don't do it, because they're not fucking stupid. Donald Trump got breached because he visited North Korea. Because he's fucking stupid. We should have never done that. Period. They breached him. End of discussion. Period. North Korea is manipulating Donald Trump. As I've said before. I mean, I said this fucking way back. It was North Korea. But no. Manipulation, lies. Should never happen. And remember, he was the one bragging about skipping intelligence briefings. He's the one that's such a dumbass that he says this stuff out loud. You know, he could just skip it and not tell anybody that, but he's so fucking stupid, he says it out loud. So, hey, North Korea, I'm an asshole. I skip intelligence briefings. There's that information for you. Well, okay, next thing you know, he gets invited. And he not doesn't only get invited, they find out all the things and little buttons they know have to push to get Trump to say yes. Yeah. So they send him, right? They sent him this giant fucking letter, right? Or something like that. He was super impressed by it or something like that, right? Right? It was something stupid like that. I think that's what it was. Yeah, he got like a physically really big letter, I think is what it was. He's that easy. Yeah. And he should just fucking said no. And he shouldn't say anything about anything. You know, if he's going to invade Iran, if he is going to do this, period, if. Shut the fuck up. Shut up. You're going to invade Iran. Shut the fuck up now. Shut up. Say nothing else. Once things happen, give us updates. But you shut the fuck up. You don't go, oh, well, we got 3 destroyers over here, and we have a battalion of these jets going here at this time. They're going to be going there tomorrow. Shut the fuck up. Well, what are you doing? Are you dumb? Yeah. Yeah, I know that, but shut up. Okay? It's sort of like, again, it's sort of like how we cannot allow China to take Taiwan back. Like again, Taiwan needs Taiwan. China cannot take that back. It's extremely dangerous. That's, again, the whole chip shortage thing and stuff. Yeah. Cannot, and not only that, but just the strategic naval and presence that China cannot have that. So again, know that, but don't fucking talk about it. Like, again, as the President of the United States, that's your main goal, to make sure China doesn't take that back over, but shut the fuck up. Do you get what I'm saying? Because if you don't shut the fuck up, China's going to be like, okay, let's do this now. Or do something to make the president think we're not going to do this now and then do this now. Okay? Because otherwise, they're going to manipulate you because you don't shut the fuck up. All they need to know is what you're saying. Okay, so you said that. Now they're going to find a way to manipulate what you said. That's it. So shut the fuck up. Shut up. I mean, like, wholly aside from the fact the guy goes on complete ridiculous tirades in the middle of the night, axing all these things about all these people he hates and stuff like that. Jesus, man. Why don't you just give the enemy every little piece of information they need to manipulate you? Oh, he hates Midas Touch? Oh, he hates this media outlet? Oh, he hates this media outlet? Well, okay. Now we know how to fuck with him, don't we? So, like, what, like, if this guy actually hates this media outlet, he should shut the fuck up about it. Because, again, A, it's going to hurt his polling, right? He cares about those poll numbers, right? I don't know why, since he can't run again. But he cares about those polls, right? So, shut the fuck up if you care about the polls. It's just not going to do anything good for your poll numbers to sit here and bitch about a network you don't like. You just look like a whiny bitch. Shut the fuck up. And then, again, B, it tells that foreign nation exactly what they need to do and who they need to screw around with, bots, what have you, to manipulate the president. Because they know now that the president is watching this media outlet. So, okay. That's it. That's all they need to know. Pretty messed up, right? It is. So, I'll just, again, I'll remind you that we once had a two-party system that seemingly worked okay. I mean, you always have had the Republicans for as long as I can remember. You know, being complete jackasses on the front of trying to give tons of money to rich people and really, really screw the middle class. I mean, that's been for a long time. But, and again, running propaganda opposite. Running the propaganda to just point the finger at the Democrats. All while the Democrats typically don't spend a ton of time running propaganda. They use a truth and sort of stretch it a little bit. That's their propaganda. So, Republicans will flat out literally make something up. They will do something wrong and blame it on the Democrats. They will just completely make something up. The Democrats will literally, their propaganda looks a lot more like, you know, just sort of stretching the truth. Well, the Republicans are doing this and it's really, really bad, and they'll just sort of exaggerate it. That's the difference. The difference is the Democrats sort of aren't really lying to you. They're just sort of kind of stretching it and exaggerating a bit, because the point is, it could actually be really bad if you just let this go. So they're trying to exaggerate it to get you to care, because you should fucking care. So I don't see that as a bad thing. That's the point. And then the Republicans, their propaganda, the point is, Republicans, their propaganda is, again, just endlessly, if they do something wrong or something that's foolish, so as to not look bad, they just blame it on the Democrats. Oh, those fucking Dems again. But Trump's in charge, and the Republicans gave him all their power. It's a Republican-controlled Congress. So how are you gonna fucking... What? So just pay attention. Are they saying this while it's a Republican-controlled Congress? If so, well then it's their fault. It's not the Democrats can't do anything in a Republican-controlled Congress. The Democrats are the ones more willing to be bipartisan than they are. I mean, how many times right now, again, it's a Republican-controlled Congress. This is a really important time in history where you guys could be really paying attention to the fact that Democrats sit here and have a chance to try to push for a bill, like contest something or something like that, try to speak for you and represent you. And then all the Republicans, like if it's something that's like, gonna benefit you or something like that, if it would like cost a little bit of funding or something like that, they just sit here and don't even want to hear anything about it. They're just literally all gang up to completely dismiss even hearing anything about it. They will literally not even give that Democrat a chance to speak about their bill or say, and they're not supposed to do that. It's illegal. Because that Democrat is representing those people that voted for them, and they're supposed to be allowed to present these bills and speak about them and ask questions. Again, just that's the point. That is the job in government. That is to represent the people. And Republicans are all ganging up to just say no. We won't. And this is unprecedented. The whole point is even Biden didn't do that. Like the whole point is like when it was the other way around, then it was very completely Democratic controlled. No, they gave them their time to speak and flat out. Yeah, I mean they'd cut them off if they sat there and tried to take more time and stuff like that. Sure, that's what you do, but they would still give them their proper amount of time, and so they weren't unfair. And so that's what you got to realize about this whole thing. Republicans versus Democrats, one is actually fair and reasonable and the other is not. Republicans are never fair and reasonable. They are the radical side that is trying to point the finger and blame everything on the Democrats and make you think that they're radical. But really, most of the Democrats really aren't that radical. They really just push reasonable things and try to get stuff done. It's true. And quite frankly, all you got to do is look at history and look some stuff up and research it a little bit to figure that out. I mean, like again, I've talked about how Obama got so much shit done, record job growth as Trump came into office, and then Trump got to benefit from Obama's record job growth. Trump looked good coming into office because of what Obama did. Same thing with Biden now, where Biden had started to do stuff and started to be successful. But remember, coming off of Trump, what everything Trump did to screw stuff up, he had to really, really try very hard to get anything done. And I'm actually surprised that he did, because again, it started to get, remember, as Trump came into office this time, you started to kind of feel like, well, maybe things are going to get a little bit better. That was how I took it. Like, I kind of felt that way, and I think a lot of other people did too. Like, Trump was coming in. I think that's why it suddenly shifted, where people were putting stock into him. I think they really truly thought that as president-elect, Trump really was doing something. And my message was always this, and always has been this, and they're abruptly ending my streams and screwing with stuff for you not to hear this. This is very common, and I really wanted to remind you this. It's very common for people not to understand that you should not and will not notice what the president does on a day-to-day basis. You do not notice those things unless they're using too much executive power. You will notice what they do and the changes they make over a few years, and as they are coming out of office, or if they have a second term, you'll see it in that term. But as they would be coming out of office, right at that mark, is probably about the time you'd start feeling it. So that's what's actually happening, where he actually benefited from having Biden in the office. And again, I want to remind you, I have been saying this for a long time, and this has never changed. I have said this since the beginning. I have been saying this for a long time, And right as I say this, we see several likes come off the stream from the weird fucking terrorists doing all of this, and they are spamming the laugh emoji, as we saw earlier when I said something about Trump for the first time too. So I just wanted to call that out. That right when I said that, we saw that there too. So just wanted to call that out again. Yep, continuing to remove likes. So, do you guys remember me telling you to, recently about YouTube removing a bunch of views, yada yada yada? I'm sure you did your research. I'm sure you looked at my channel and started noticing some stuff. Okay, so yeah, basically, and if I tell you that a certain stream has, we see all these viewers in here, but they're only counting X amount of views, they will intentionally post just a higher view count on my stream when the stream finishes than what I said, just to make me wrong. I have seen this many times now, where literally, and they'll just lock it there, it doesn't gain any more. They'll just, remember, 307, right? 307? It was like 307, right? Because remember, I ended that stream with I think 60, I think it were kind of 60 some views, right? It was something like that, right? We had hundreds of people in at one time, right? And there was a bunch of people watching, and we were finishing the stream, and I was pointing out the fact that they're just only counting 60 some views on the stream, and then right as I finished that stream, they just 307. And then it just sat at 307 for several days. It's at 70 something now, right? They removed the views now, right? I haven't looked at it, but I'll be willing to bet, just like some of the other ones. Now, do you guys remember when I played Cuphead? Do you remember that? Do you remember when I had the sound too loud? And I played Cuphead and I had the hat? Now, YouTube does this. If they can get your stream copyrighted, they will. So that stream got a copyright randomly put on it for, again, video game music. And conveniently, that's the stream where, yes, it's losing views, but if you look at the channel, it's also one of the only streams maintaining views, too. They're removing all kinds of fucking views from the ones that I should be getting money from, but the one that has a fucking copyright on it for video game music, yeah, they'll count those. Yeah, they'll care a little bit more about counting those. This has been a recurring pattern throughout my entire channel. This has been happening for years, just as many other things have happened. This is nothing new. This is not a new pattern. It's not. It's been happening years. True. There's times it doesn't. But, again, it's on purpose. So it's typically to make me wrong. On a stream where I say all the views will come off, they'll leave them on. Or something like that. Or leave them on long enough that they think that, you're not paying attention to it now, so now they'll take them off. So, we've seen a pretty consistent viewership in this stream. Where we've been streaming for almost 2 hours now. Almost 2 hours. We've had regular viewers in here. 10, 11 people right now. And there's only 50 some views counted on the whole stream. 50. Yep. 50. That's it. Yep. Not 150, which is probably closer to what it actually is, but 50. Interesting. And remember all the times my bitrate randomly shifts around based on what I say, or what I say would cause a trending to bring in concurrence and people who have preferences based on what I say, right? They like this, it brings them in the stream, so what I say starts shifting the bitrate around. Yes. So again, the Trump administration has weaponized AI, and they're using Google's AI against civilians. Yes. And the CEO is aware of it. He's aware of it. Yes. Do you know why I'm a target? Now, I gave you a little bit of a hint. You should have realized it. But do you know why I'm actually a target? You should have realized this by now. It's a lot simpler. It's a lot simpler than you think. It's none of the bullshit I said. I said a lot of bullshit because the whole point is YouTube should not allow that. Should have never have allowed it. You know, they should have sat here and promoted my streams, gave me everything that I needed, instead of sitting here and allowing me to be harassed. So do you want to know the real reason that a CEO from Google can sit here and stalk U.S. civilians successfully? And I want to remind you, he became CEO in 2015, right before Trump became president. And they have seemingly gotten sued, have been caught selling people's data more than they should. They're getting sued by all kinds of foreign governments. Yeah. So he's working with Trump. Yeah. Do you know why I'm really a target? The real reason? The CEO of Google has connections in Pennsylvania. That's it. It's the real reason Trump came to Pennsylvania that time too. This guy, the CEO for Google, went to college in Pennsylvania. He knows people in Pennsylvania. It's probably where a lot of stuff can go on under the radar, and he knows that. And I already pointed out the fact that this guy has Google lie about his salary. Remember, Gemini tries to say that he only makes $10 million a year. Gemini flat out lies and tries to say he only makes $10 million a year. Are you fucking kidding me? The fucking CEO of Google doesn't make $10 million a year. That guy makes like fucking $500 million a year with everything he fucking makes. Guarantee it. Not in pay, but that fucking guy makes $500 million a year. Guarantee it. He has a security detail. His security, period, for himself costs $8 million a year. $8 million a year. this guy spends on security for himself, all while leaking your data and private citizens, like, selling our data illegally. Remember, he's being sued for this. Like, they're being found out, they're being investigated and found out to be using your data incorrectly over the years. Like bad guy stuff. Like slimy, like they know they're doing it, they're trying to get away with it. Lobbyist type stuff. He is the definition of lobbyist. And he's an Indian American. So again, I'm not trying to bring race into this, but Trump, this guy's deporting all kinds of people and stuff like that. Let's bring race into it in this sense, because this guy is seemingly an Indian American in a very high level position. That's reasonably questionable based on the circumstances. It's not like if this stuff wasn't happening and I was, like all this crap wasn't, then that would be weird. You obviously would just be like, well, why does that matter? But India, and again, anybody connected to, like, their family lives in India and stuff like that. Okay, more people than anywhere in the world, and also more scams than anywhere in the fucking world. Period. There's no question about that, okay? So... Do I have to say any more? I really shouldn't have to say any more than that. Okay, that should be pretty obvious why, at that point, why you're concerned about that, okay? It should be pretty obvious. The whole point is that, just like the point that Trump had, when he first came into office, he hired the ex-CFO of ExxonMobil as Secretary of State. This guy was Putin's right-hand man in the oil business, and he was Trump's Secretary of State the first time around? That sounds very suspicious. That's where you start questioning the nationality of somebody. Those times, okay? Secretary of State or Secretary of Defense? Maybe Secretary of Defense. But it was one of those two things. And holy shit! Again, this is the CEO or CFO of ExxonMobil, which again is Putin's oil business. You do realize ExxonMobil is Russia, right? You're dumb if you didn't know that. You're just dumb. You're stupid. Because again, you're all getting Exxon fucking gas and shit like that. And meanwhile, this shit's coming from Russia. And you're getting all pissed off at fucking British Petroleum? No, BP can be all over the place for all I care. Yeah, I don't give a shit about some accidental fucking oil spill that everybody's flipping out about. Yep, they cleaned it up. It sucked. These things happen. They did the best they could and owned up to it. See, this is the problem. People just, get all fucking Karen about everything. Stop doing this. And then meanwhile, you're not boycotting the one that you should be, which is ExxonMobil. And then meanwhile, Trump really did have his fucking Secretary of State, or Defense, one of the two, I think it was State, as the fucking guy that was literally Putin's right-hand person in the oil business. The reason for everything. The reason, I mean, Jesus. That's why he wants to invade anybody. He wants oil. How do people not know these things? So, if you also noticed, I did some. I sort of like at the end of my one stream, kind of like pretended like I couldn't figure something out, and I spent a lot of time thinking about it, and then I gave you a wrong answer, and then like we sort of ended the stream and stuff like that, and then what I did was I sort of posted a more correct, reasonable, thought-provoking answer in a short right after the stream, and you guys know that my shorts, I mean, they get views, we know that, and then conveniently, just like we've seen before, just like where I did that vocal cover, that Michael Jackson song. The first day I posted that got to 1.1 thousand, and then just like the snap of a finger or a flip of a switch, it halts. I stop it as soon as it gets there. So basically, the point is the AI is picked up on the fact that I've been saying this now. So just like the one I posted after that, the mac and cheese one, the whole point was now they have decided the view count. So notice how I start explaining the scam, and right as I've started explaining the scam, the concurrents go from 11 to 13. Did you notice that? There's always this two concurrent thing where as soon as I start explaining, you know what I mean, where two concurrents shift in. So it's definitely using like two bots as a thing to do something there. That's a very, very, very common thing. But basically what they're doing is they've already determined the view count, okay? And so what they're going to do is they've decided on the view count at a certain point. And so it is just this, just like the 307. So they just throw a number at it. And the whole point is the video is coded and programmed. It goes in there and codes the video and programs the video to only ever be at this number of views. If it gains more, it must subtract those. If it subtracts too many, it must now allow views up to a certain point. So because I have said that they halt views and it's really obvious to tell, like it just halts and it's across the channel and it is really obvious, they've started to adjust, and this is the latest thing. So basically now, and it's not across the channel. Across the channel, you can still see evidence of things halted where the view count has not continued. But what they have started to do, and you saw on that mac and cheese short, and you saw on this most recent one, is they have clearly decided on some sort of, subliminal view count number that nobody knows what it is. The video is coded to that view count, and so now as people watch it, it just slowly does or doesn't. It has nothing to do with them watching it. It just slowly does or doesn't. They're just going to slowly gain based on what I do on my channel and stuff like that. They're gonna just basically just slowly add views up to a certain point, that predetermined number, and that's it. That's all that's happening, and that's all that's happening on that most recent short too, where again, coming off that stream where we would have had all that trending, all those people watching that and stuff like that. And then conveniently I say the one thing where we saw hundreds of viewers in here wanting an answer to this. Yeah. So the whole point is I give that answer in a short right after that stream. I should get a sort of at least somewhat similar view count or something like that. You'd think at least. Because the whole point is people do this, and the whole point is I've seen the geniuses that sit there and figure it out and write this this video has this amount of views right in the title of it, and they know exactly how to do it. Yeah, the whole point is these things do work. It's exactly how it works. And it works exactly like that. And the whole point is that they are intentionally disrupting this for me. Everything's complete opposite. So that's where I act complete opposite. And the point is you're supposed to realize the fact that the platform shouldn't work that way. It shouldn't promote that stuff. The whole point is, as I say it, they momentarily flip it back here and there. But for the most part, you guys know the issue we've been having is that they'll intentionally cause a glitch or a problem or something like that just to get some sort of problem to happen, where now they'll promote the stream, now they'll allow the trending, and so that way all these people come in and just see me flipping out or dealing with some sort of technical glitch or something like that. We're not talking about any content or something. And the whole point is for that response to intentionally cause some sort of issue where, again, they're going to promote that instead of the valid content. And this has been years. We've been talking about this for years. It was very obvious for a while. And so, again, it just every time I say it, they try to change it and make it look not as obvious. And, again, the whole point is we've gotten to this point, where we're at the point where we're at now. And, again, sometimes they will flat out do exact opposite of something just to try to make, again, like I said, where the view count was 60-something at the end of the stream, and then right after the stream posts, just 307. Just 307. You just throw a random number at the fucking view count, So it's exactly that, where it's just completely nonsensical thing that doesn't make any sense. I never saw that. What 307? Where did that show up? At what point? Like at no point did I say that. Why would I? You know what I mean? And it's just 307. What the fuck? So, and again, it's probably not even that anymore. That's my point. It's probably something totally different. So, I already pointed this out with again, that game Distance, where we did that posted with X amount of views. You guys know I showed you that on that stream, where posted with X amount of views, and then slowly over the course of several days, again, first time it lost, all the way down to, I think it was like 60 or something like that, right? Like we explained before, and then, 30, and just sitting at 31, right? It's still sitting at 31, right? It's still there. They just locked it there. So that's what it is. People are watching that one. That's really popular. And I am making that game popular. So the whole point is, this is to make it so that the developers of these games and the people that would boost my channel and find out who's making their game popular don't know that. And then YouTube is like giving it to another streamer like Kai Cenat or something like that, where they're going to take all of this trending and stuff like that and then suddenly show this guy this game. So that way it looks like he played it first, but actually I did. This happened with Megabunk. Remember Megabunk? Remember that? I played Megabunk before anybody was playing that. Like again, some of the first people I saw playing it are Moist Critical and stuff like that. But again, I actually streamed it before they streamed it for the first time too. So like, this is kind of the stuff I'm talking about. And then, the whole point is that's perfect. Then all they have to do, then that gets those streamers to butt heads. So the whole point is this was always what it was with me and the other guy, where I was trying to explain to this other guy that's all that was happening, that they were trying to make us argue, have a war with each other, so that way they can manipulate our streams and our audience to go wherever they want, but he didn't get it. So the whole point is this is only weaponized now. Now because of this asshole that couldn't just get along and couldn't, you know, again, it's just it's Adam and Eve all over. Again, this asshole couldn't just get along with people and listen and try to do. You know, he gave in. He took the fruit off the tree and took a big old fucking bite and went, nope, war. So that's what's going on. You know, basically anybody where you're going to attack the other channel and you declare war, you know, again, everybody knows you don't like that channel. Your channel hates that channel. They talk about it and yada, 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 yada. They will use this. That is what they want. So it's all that. It's obviously all that. And, you know, obviously they're doing it with Discord and stuff, too. I already explained to you guys that Discord was, you know, I told you guys a while back that Discord was unsafe, but nobody believed me with that, too. Meanwhile, you're all sitting on there. How many times do you see somebody on there, and they're sitting on there on Discord, and Discord is displaying all kinds of information and stuff like that that people shouldn't see? You know, you're playing a game and it's just displaying this for everybody to see. You know what I'm saying? How often does that happen? Do you see somebody playing a game and they're on Discord and yeah, it's just displaying all this info about their game they're playing and stuff? Again, people social media just this is something that should not, people should not be able to use the thoughts of every dumbass out there to organize a dumbass thought, because again, the whole point is you don't organize the masses of idiots. You organize a constructive, intelligent thought. You don't allow a bunch of apes to organize thoughts. You don't allow that. You don't allow bumbling fools to organize thoughts. That's the whole point. That's the point. Okay? So social media should absolutely be a thing of the past, yes. Just like Canada's already decided. Canada has pretty much banned social media. It should just go away. People should not be able to regularly just come in contact with each other digitally and just know who people are. This should be a thing of the past. People are dumb and don't understand the regular dangers of this. And here you are, you have this display of your image, your life, everybody in it, and stuff like that. Right there, organized for every fucking country that's running a psyop to sit there and gain all that information and use it against you. And again, all while your tax dollars pay this trash administration to have an orange douchebag that knows this, doesn't do anything about it, and quite frankly, does the opposite. Would sell your secrets to the enemy. Would. He's admitted to that. He's admitted to treason. Yeah. He accepted a plane from Qatar. Again, your president is a fucking retard. He's a fucking retard. This is a guy that with an intelligent, collected reporter in front of him, he can't, again, he can't dismiss, he doesn't want to answer the questions she has. he can't dismiss it in a way that's respectful and nice. No, he just attacks her. And calls women piggy and stuff like that. Quiet, piggy. Points at her. Quiet, piggy. Points at her. What the fuck? Excuse me? Listen, man. Listen. Look. I'm obviously not Secret Service. But look, it shouldn't be a wonder why this guy has had 2 assassination attempts. Because I promise you, as much as I would do my role in Secret Service too, these are servicemen with the same respect, ethics, and integrity as any other serviceman. And if I heard the fucking President of the United States talk to a woman in my presence like that, pointing at her and calling her piggy in front of everybody, embarrassing her, stuff like that, like you can see the person, he does it to them in front of other people, embarrasses them on national TV, wants this to happen, refers to them as piggy, again, attacks female reporters. This is a regular thing that this person does. Yes, I would have a hard time, I think, as Secret Service, I would have a very, very hard time I would just have a very hard time with that. I wouldn't harm him or anything. I would just have a hard time with it. Yeah. So again, like, the point is Secret Service need to be able to do their jobs without hesitation. This piece of shit is making all those ethics and stuff in the head go right out the window the moment that he treats people in the presence of these Secret Services. Again, these are very respectful men that are trying to do a job where they need to feel like they're giving their lives for a purpose, if that would happen. And this piece of trash doesn't deserve that. He's not deserving of it. He just treats people like trash. He's not deserving of it. That's what you gotta realize. He's not deserving of it. And they don't feel that way. So, okay? This is literally his problem. And it shouldn't be a wonder about his ethics or the kind of person he is when Piggy comes to mind. Peggy. He calls her Peggy. Who does that? Like, look, if I think somebody's an asshole, I'm gonna call you an asshole just like the same other person. Like at least be more broad about your insults. He's actually has a specific, like, Piggy. What? Why? That's weird. Yeah, it is. It's weird. Yeah. Like, I actually try not to do that. I actually try. Like, if I seriously, I make a conscious effort if I'm going to insult a guy, or something like that. Like, I'm going to use that same insult across the board, man. I am not going to... But I'm also not going to sit here and be an asshole and, like, if somebody's just asking me a question, they're a reporter and they want to ask this question and then the president, I'm going to try my best to at least answer it Or if I don't want to answer it, I'm going to be upfront about that. I'm not going to answer that. I'm not going to answer that. I'm just going to literally completely ignore it, state I'm not going to answer that, and I'm going to move on. I'm not going to let this person talk over the next person, and if they try to do that, I'm just going to, hey, ship, this, you're doing a lot of this. Shh. I'm talking to this person now. But yeah, I mean, it's as simple as that. Shh. I can't hear what they're saying. I've already said I'm not going to answer that. Stop asking me the same question. I'm talking to this person now. And now, again, if they proceed after that, and you know, again, they start talking over the other person, you can be a lot more rude. But don't go to piggy. Don't go to the insults. Why are they a piggy? Don't do that. I realize I do this on stream, okay? I'm a streamer. It's funny. It's not like I don't just like I wouldn't just do this out in the world. You don't do that. Okay? She's not a piggy. She's a person asking you a question and you're just ignoring her. You're just not answering, you're not acknowledging. And you just go, quiet, piggy. What the fuck? Again, after that point, if they interrupt you after that point, then turn around, you can be a little bit more rude. Quiet. And if you continue, just leave. You literally turn around and leave. Don't answer. Literally exit all interviews. Period. Done. That's your power move. They keep asking you fucking questions you don't want to answer. Don't look like a dumbass, an aggressive asshole. Just turn the fuck around and don't answer. But the whole point is they're just pressuring him. They're getting those, pushing those buttons, and he's following suit. He is showing that he will be so triggered. So again, President of the United States needs to have a lot more public ethics than the rest of us. But again, people in general, you know, obviously don't treat another person that way. There's no reason to do that to somebody. Okay, obviously there's a difference between, you know, comedian or somebody just you know, a joke or whatever, okay? It's the same thing where, you know, a comedian might get heckled on stage and people might personally feel insulted in the audience and stuff like that because they're just not used to that, okay? That person probably has a problem and they shouldn't be, you know, taking part in stand-up comedy or something like that. They have to realize that, well, that's just how that goes. And if you take that personal, again, you just can't take a joke and you shouldn't really be there. Because that's what that's for. So don't heckle a comedian that's sitting there to do that. To make fun of people. I mean, like, literally, you sit, especially the front row, you like the classic, like, round tables and stuff like that, where they pick on people, you know, in the front specifically for that reason. You know, that's the point. They kind of want that. So, yeah, I mean, don't do that, and don't, and then likewise expect the comedian to, you know, again, if you're heckling them and they give you a hard time back, look, expect that. He's a comedian. That's what he's gonna do. So, the president's not a comedian and shouldn't strive to be that. I think that Trump is very jealous of what Obama could do, Obama was a very intelligent, charismatic, smooth individual. But you have to realize part of the reason for that is because Obama is firing on all of his cylinders. But Trump's got a really, really broken ass drunk family. They're all a bunch of drunks that have been taking advantage of people since forever. He's got a lot of problems. Okay? So him being a funny guy, yeah, it sounds like him just insulting somebody. He doesn't understand it. He doesn't know how to be funny. You know, Obama, he understands that. He understands jokes and punchlines and stuff like that. And I want to also, again, presidents do have speechwriters. And Obama had a very intelligent, very good speechwriter. Okay? It was an award-winning one, actually. So it's not like they don't have speechwriters. They do. And he had a very good one that, yeah, would write probably some jokes here and there that again, take a certain person to tell them. So again, if you can't do that, you're not literate enough, you're not smooth enough, that's not your thing. Just don't try to do that. Don't try to sit here and come in and just swoop in and be Obama. You can't do it. Nobody can. Because that was Obama. So don't do that. And you know, again, he could have done so much more good. He could have been successful. But he didn't shut his mouth. And he sat here and tried to meddle in everything. Tried to change everything. Tried to undo all this good stuff Obama did that was actually helping. And quite frankly, I do think it's because he's racist. I do truly believe that he is so racist, he really thought Obama, you know, like these things were bad or something like that. And then he as president, he can actually look at the way, you know, like he can get the figures and the numbers and stuff like that. And then he does, and then he goes, Obama was actually really good for the country. Holy shit. So now he can't cancel all these things, so the stuff that was good that he can't cancel, he starts trying to take credit for. Oh, I did that. Okay. So anyway, you guys know that, like, a lot of the reason we talk politics is just because at a certain point we were not able to stop. We were not able to, like, it's so ingrained in our everyday now what this orange douchebag has done to this country. And again, the trade market and how important the U.S. is to the world, you know, again, as far as foreign trade policy and again, stance on our war front, obviously, what that means to the rest of the world, you know, again, it's so important. So what the U.S. president says and does versus the rest of the world is really important. You know, other world leaders, not so much. It's really not. You know, they can get away with saying some shit that doesn't fucking, like, again, it doesn't mean anything, and they could just get away. You know, Putin could probably get away with saying plenty of dumb shit. You know, again, he rigged his own elections and stuff like that. So, all he had to do was come in and actually be a good businessman. But he wasn't. Just like he wasn't for his businesses. It's not what he did for his businesses, he wasn't very good at that either. Because being good at that doesn't look like declaring bankruptcy 4 times. No. Nope. It's not what it looks like. It looks like expanding and not having to flee New York because everybody hates you. You move down to Florida because that's where, like, the furthest south that you can go. Where people haven't the slightest fucking clue the hell Donald Trump is and what he's done. Except what they kind of maybe hear. Yeah. So, you know, just realize that that's not what it looks like. You know, again, it's not a successful businessman, obviously, that doesn't expand. You eventually capitalize on that investment. Again, the investment where all it is taking advantage of people's gambling habit. Yeah. They don't even offer a product. Yeah, there's nothing for them to lose. Literally, all they do is have people work a table, and people literally sit down and go, yep, I'm going to play that number, or I'm going to be dealt some cards, and I'm going to lose some money. Literally, every day, the business literally just has people lose their money to just come in there just to give their money away endlessly to play these games that they don't have to do anything for the upkeep. It's just fucking cards and poker chips and it's very simple stuff. And this is the business he had to close down like 4 fucking locations. Something where, again, everybody just... Here's the money. You know, again, what's the upkeep? Should be the easiest fucking thing in the world, but you got all that money to build the place, right? Yeah. So when that name is sitting on it, why the fuck is it doing so poorly? Well, I'll tell you why. Because anytime I was ever at a Trump casino, I'm going to tell you why. Because it's exactly the reason you think. Everything's too fucking expensive. Pay for parking. You pay for parking. You can't just park. Every single one you pay. Yeah, basically. So, pay for parking, then you go in. You sit down, and again, everything's far more expensive. Slot machines, all this stuff, far more expensive than any other casino because Trump name's on it. So that's a problem. Then, in addition to that, you have Trump doesn't pay employees what he should. So they are the bottom of the barrel employees. So turnover is insane. He probably doesn't keep employees. Turnover is insane. They just waste shitloads of money on this. He doesn't know anything about running a business. The guy just knows jack fucking shit. So he's just wasting shitloads of money on the fact that he's not paying employees to do the job properly. So again, huge turnover rate. They just leave or, you know, get fired or something like that because they suck. So he doesn't pay them what they deserve to make. So he doesn't get the desirable employees. Huge turnover rate. Wasting money on that. And then again, this affects business because there's going to be less people that feel like it's worth the money to invest going to this place where this dealer that's in front of me, the whole reason you go is to see how cool the dealer is. He fucking deals cards really fast and it's awesome and shit like that. So if you have a shit dealer, you don't want to really go there anymore, do you? And he's rude. Maybe he doesn't even look that great. You know, like he can't even take care of his appearance very well. You know, and stuff like that. Like it's just bottom of the barrel. And so, no, this is not going to do well, not in a Trump casino. So the whole point is you're charging, like what? For what? What product do you offer where you feel like it's actually worth this? So the whole point is Trump has always been this way. He just thinks he is worth what he is worth because him. All while not offering a valuable product. He didn't do anything. You just go in and Trump's name is on there, so therefore everything should be super expensive because Trump. No! What the fuck? If the beer is shit, the drinks are shit, the fucking bartender can't make good drinks, I literally sit there and waste shitloads of money on a table with a bad dealer, just literally can't... He either wins every time or he can't fucking deal for shit. The guy is slow or obviously counting or, you know, just like all the other millions of things you could think of that would come out of a bad fucking, you know, person, a bad employee at a casino. The numerous things that you could think of. And meanwhile, this guy, he doesn't know anything about running business. Because again, remember, he's an idiot. His own professor said that. He always had somebody to pay his way out of this and that. He didn't actually fucking pass college. He just paid his way through it. So again, he just hired some people to do the jobs, probably paid them bare fucking minimum, got bottom of the barrel people that didn't give a shit, and then when he'd come in and kick him in the ass to give a shit, again, they don't really give a shit, so he doesn't offer anything valid. He literally can't run his casino because, again, he doesn't offer anything valid, because if he knew how to run it, he would come in there and just do it himself. But no, doesn't run it, runs it into the ground instead, and acts all fucking surprised when he doesn't understand why. Because again, he never ran his fucking casino right in the first place, paying people what they deserve to make to do those fucking jobs. And then again, actually supervising the ins and outs of the casino, the daily, every day-to-day of the casino. Guarantee you he never did that. Guarantee you. He probably went for fucking years without having anything, knowing what the fuck's going on. He probably shows up just to make sure he makes an appearance, but again, it's to look good. He wants people to see him show up and stuff like that. So again, just everything that you shouldn't do as a business owner, and then he do it. You know, like basically like not giving your employees, you know, again, it's that thing I talked about where you could have a producer just really fuck up a movie. You know, they just all they do is throw money at it instead of producing it. You know what I mean? Like they don't actually do anything. So they don't know what the movie needs. They don't actually help and go in, you know, maybe it has a bad director or a bad this or a bad that, and shit's going on and they don't know. And meanwhile, they're just throwing money at it and trusting the whole process. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. And, it's very clear because it's how he's running the country. It's literally how he's running the fucking country. He's not doing anything, and quite frankly, trying to take credit for things he didn't do. So, why would it be anything different with his business? Again. Remember, he's not balancing the budget. He lost $1 trillion. He's spending over budget, all while not balancing it. And again, losing $1 trillion. And this is the businessman. You wanted this guy, the businessman. So, now that I've explained all that, about how a business should be run, so again, the point is most people don't have a fucking clue what it takes. You know, again, just like Trump, they have this pretty happy vision of it just running itself, and you hiring people. So no, it's hard work, even as the owner. That never happens. There is never a time where you're going to hire all these people and they're going to do everything and it's going to be perfect and you don't have to lift a finger. That's never going to be the case. Never. Never. You cannot do that. If you do that, it ain't yours. You ain't owning it. You don't own shit. Yep, you just put your name on it. Yep. And if somebody's running it right, thank your lucky stars that probably that one person is doing all that work for you. Because I promise you, once they're not there anymore, you're going to realize who was running it. Yep. That's what you're going to realize. And some people do. They do. So, anyway, guys, I wanted to give you guys some updates on the channel and kind of where we are with things. You know, again, as you know, with certain games and you know, just stuff that is going on with me, the channel, and stuff like that. I just wanted to give you guys a bit of an update here, and we did the update on stuff we've been playing, and I talked to you guys a little bit here about some other things. I wanted to talk to you about some other things, and we did that. So I probably won't, I'll probably not linger around here too much longer. But I wanted to give you guys, again, this update so you knew, some of you guys knew where we were at and what was kind of going on with the channel lately, in case you're catching things here and there and you're not really sure what's going on. Yeah, so, like, lately, you know, I know that we haven't been, like, every day, and yeah, there's just some stuff I'm doing. I'm just again, I have to, I'm getting organized. I'm just taking care of some stuff and trying to get on here as much as we can, but also the whole view count thing is intentionally messed up. YouTube is very clearly, the more I'm on here, they will take views from another video. Like if I'm on here too much, it's very clear YouTube will intentionally remove a ton of views from a recent stream. So that's what I've been documenting recently, and we've been kind of playing around with that and talking about that. So that's kind of what's been going on recently, where that's sort of why we've been and kind of playing around with that a little bit. You know, like basically if I disappear for like a day or two, they lock the views, where people are looking for content, so they watch, maybe get caught up on some streams that they didn't see, and the views don't move, they just lock them. And that's what I noticed. So we've been sort of playing around with that, because that's what's been happening lately, where yeah, like I should gain, you know, again, just like some other streamers talk about, when they take a break, their views skyrocket. So again, with all these like in-betweens and stuff where we're not streaming, you know, why is the view count very clearly being locked? Or just like I pointed out, the stream where we played Distance lost a whole shitload of views, and it just locked at 31. Just exactly that number. And then anytime I say that on stream, I get off stream and I go look, and sometime in the course of me saying this on the stream, you know, again, they locked the view count. It was locked for days. Couldn't get it to move at all. But as soon as I say this on stream, oh, well, then a few more views are thrown at it. After I get off stream, I check on a few more views. So again, to make me wrong, because I'd be telling you on stream. So again, it's a matter of proactively kind of paying attention to these things. But you can still see it more like as a uniform thing, where even as they have started to adjust the more recent streams, as I say this, there's still plenty throughout the channel where those streams and other uploads, especially my uploads, are completely locked. Especially my uploads. Because my uploads should get more. That's the point. My uploads would get a lot, because they're very high quality. So I do an upload, and they just fucking lock that. And remember, they always used to do this by causing a problem for the processing. Remember, if you remember before, I would upload a video, and it would endlessly sit here and process and take days to just fail to process. Fail, 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 fail. And then they took a feature out. So basically the whole point is that they are now locking my view counts on any upload. Any uploads I do, it's just X amount of views, and they're not going to count anymore. And again, it's on purpose. They know they're doing it. It is designed that way. There's no question. You know, it's just YouTube on purpose locking the view count. I remember I did a couple things recently where we did some uploads, and I just literally setting it up beforehand, and me just driving with some music or something like that, and then I'd upload this. And even recently when I did that, again, the one I did recently where we uploaded it, it got to 51 views, and they just stopped it. Halted. Just completely halted. 51 views. Interesting, isn't it? Yep. Yep. Conveniently. So, I think that's actually pretty interesting. And, it was a pretty quick view count, too. Like, it got pretty quickly to 51, and then they just halted it. Just stopped counting views. Just like every other upload that you see. We'll do an upload, just exactly. Again, I uploaded something, just sort of like the Shaman Village, so you guys could, have some ambiance with the Shaman Village. Literally locked the view count. I uploaded it, just locked the view count, and that a low number too, on purpose, very, very clearly on purpose. So the point is that they are keeping channels, just like you've seen my subscriber count get locked at a certain number. We have seen, the point is they're keeping channels, the Trump administration and Google is being manipulated. But the point is they're keeping channels that are not pro-Trump. at a certain view count so that it doesn't look like these people are winning, so to speak. You know, it's all about that. It's all about, you know, just keeping the public, especially in these dictator countries where they're paying attention and believe the nonsense. You know, again, it's painting the picture to these people, these desperate people that want to believe that's the answer. You know, where it's clearly not, because again, communism doesn't exist. There has never been an actual true communist country, because it can't exist. It's impossible. Cannot do it. Doesn't work. The reason it doesn't work is exactly everything we've always seen. Point is, you don't have a guy at the top or a group of people that ever will fairly take all of your money and distribute it evenly amongst the civilians. Yada yada yada. It's all a bunch of bullshit. They're not gonna do it. They're gonna lie. They're gonna do biased things. The whole reason that you have a democracy is so that you make sure that doesn't happen. You elect people, you give them term limits, you get them the fuck out of there, because the idea is they have competition. They will care about the fact that they have to care. The competition will force them to. It's the whole reason you have healthy competition in a market too. It's why you do something about monopolies. It's the whole reason. It's the whole reason we're talking about any of this. Because the Donald piece of shit Trump is monopolized, literally the definition of the game of Monopoly. The whole guy that's the example of that, whose father was basically the Monopoly guy. You know, again, that's the epitome of the example of that. That's the point. They want to monopolize everything and hoard all the money, cut you out of it. That's what all these countries always do, and under the guise of communism, oh, fairness for everybody. It's always that. It's always gonna be that. It's a person. The whole point is, you might start with somebody that's ethical, but 2 generations from now, that fucking person ain't gonna give a shit. They're just gonna start being unethical and biased. So you have democracy. You have elections. You give people the choice. So anyway, I hope that through all of the stuff that we talk about, that I end up making people look stuff up. Sometimes I end up making you become smarter, force you to look things up, figure it out for yourself, and also possibly, maybe kind of organically realize things for yourself. Because that's what I want to do. I want you guys to be able to do this yourself. So that's why I tell you certain things. And I give you these answers that sound like some little secret or something like that. But really, it's just that I've realized this little thing about life that a lot of folks haven't realized. And I'm trying to help you and tell you something that other people have also realized. But because you haven't realized it, they can take advantage of you. I mean, that's how any scam works. So it's just a matter of you organically having that ability to recognize that and see through deception. So sure, that's definitely some of what I would love again and have tried to help you guys with. Just the ability to recognize them. Because your president, the president of the United States, he's the biggest liar of anybody. That guy fucking lies more than any person on the planet ever has. There has never been a single record of anybody else lying more than the current president of the United States has. Period. He is the biggest. He will go down in history, too, as that. And he's recognized that. That's why he's trying to erase Obama and all these people. He will go down in history as the biggest liar ever. Period. Even Putin doesn't lie as much as this guy does. The guy that rigs his own elections, the guy that actually assassinated the competition. There's evidence that he actually assassinated his own competition and has been rigging his elections, for freaking ever. And even he doesn't lie as much as Donald Trump does. Like, just regularly. Yeah. He doesn't. I mean, like, you you could say that there are things that are like generally a lie, proceeding forward to be this way. It's a lie to kind of live that way. I understand that if you want to look at it like that. I just mean as far as like statements, like informing his people and stuff like that. Trump does not want you to be informed, and again, the guy that goes to war with the Ukraine, literally invades Ukraine, lies to just randomly invade Ukraine, lies to his people all the time. Again, Donald Trump singularly lies more than Vladimir Putin. I want you to think about that. Okay? And the reality of that. Okay? And again, I want you to remember that he is singularly the biggest liar in history. He is the fucking biggest liar in history. That is all that's going to happen. He's going to go down in history as the biggest liar. He's already the biggest liar in history. That's it. He's just a liar. Liar, liar, pants on fire. Except his fucking face looks like it's on fucking fire. So, I mean, like, what else could he possibly... The whole point is that the orange face is the facade. Like, the whole point is you should realize what a liar he is. When every day he can't tell you what the color of his skin is. He has to lie about that, too. You've never even seen the color of his skin for the past 30 fucking years. I haven't seen his skin since, like, the 90s. What the fuck is that? Same guy has to embroider a hat that he was right about everything. Clearly he was wrong about everything if he has to do that. Clearly. I mean, come on, that's... Clearly. If a fucking... Come on, if somebody else did that, if anybody else other than him did that to you, I was right about everything. I was right. I was right. I was right. And they embroidered a hat and they had to wear it. I was right about everything. Wouldn't you think that person was literally just wrong about, like, everything? Like, wouldn't you just immediately be like, yeah, that motherfucker is not right about anything. Like, he's very clearly just pushing this subject to him being right. He's right about everything. You would literally just... you would acknowledge this as reverse psychology immediately. It's the most obvious reverse psychology you've ever fucking seen. Obviously. Yeah. So why aren't you doing this with the President of the United States, the guy that fucking lies more than Vladimir Putin? Why aren't you doing this with him? He's literally the guy that will go down in history as being told the most lies, more lies than anybody in recorded history. That's it. He's just going to go down in history as being the guy that told more lies than anybody in recorded history. That's it. That's all that's going to happen. I mean, Jesus Christ, even Adolf Hitler didn't lie as much as this guy. Do you know why? Do you know why? I'll give you a hint. They didn't have the internet back in World War II. Yeah. Yeah. Because he can. Because he's a fucking child that's wrong about everything, and everybody's telling him he's wrong every day. And again, he's being proven wrong by reporters that he can't stand, so he has to call them piggy. Okay? That's the reality. Because he knows he's wrong. And he's been caught. I mean, what a loser. Seriously. Anyway, I really hope that I can, a lot of these things, a lot of the way of understanding something, it's just a matter of, viewpoint. It's conceptual thinking. Martial arts taught me this. It's conceptual thinking. You figure stuff out by understanding a concept. Once you understand that concept, everything under that umbrella suddenly makes a lot more sense to you. So with Trump, it's literally just about understanding the concept that nothing he says is true. It's all complete polar opposite. Everything. Okay, so like, for example, way back when we're predicting stuff, and we can predict these things, when he says, in a few years, don't worry, we're going to have it rigged so you never have to vote again. The whole point is that we called this because we called the fact that this guy would just randomly say these outlandish things like that didn't make any sense. Why would he randomly say that? Don't worry, in a few years we're going to have it rigged so you never have to vote again. Let me remind you that any other president ever saying that other than Trump, immediately everybody would flip the fuck out, call voter fraud, call treason, call all kinds of things, and be like, who the hell is this motherfucker saying he's going to rig the election so you don't have to vote? Are you kidding me? And this guy just says this in passing, and everybody's like, oh, who cares? He just said it. And you're just like, oh, it doesn't fuck. Who cares? Who cares? In a few years, they'll have it rigged so we don't have to vote anymore. Yeah, sounds great. What? What if Obama said that? Are you going to suddenly get all racist on me? Oh, well, now if Obama said it. Okay? So Obama was respectful and respected term limits, and respectfully said, now we have a reason for term limits. I should not be president a third time. He respected that, and he had a concession and everything. Everybody's had their concessions, okay? Donald Trump's the only one that doesn't concede. And remember, that's his book, The Art of the Deal. Because again, that's literally how scams work. I mean, it's the most basic, fundamental, elementary scam of them all. It is. When you're caught, no, you're not. You know what I mean? Like it's like the fucking kid on the playground or whatever that's caught doing something, and he's like, he did it. He did it. And then they actually believe him. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing that happens. They just believe it. It's like that. That's all it is. It's exactly like that. And then people just believe this person that just says this stuff. It's just him saying it. Everybody else is warning you and saying something different. Experts and people that know about this stuff. But this one fucking asshole that is wrong about everything, is lying about everything, just so happens to be wrong and lying about this thing that everybody else is saying he's lying and is wrong about, but you believe the asshole that's lying and it's wrong about it. What the fuck are you... Can you please recognize why we're calling you stupid? Why I'm saying stupid? Come on, man. Please. Like, accept a little stupidity out of that one. Like, alright, I'm a little stupid for that. I'd be like, yo, okay, that was stupid, my fault. I've done some stupid fucking shit. Come on, man. The difference is you own up, you're like, my bad, that was fucking stupid, my bad. My bad. It was fucking stupid. Let's try to not do that stupid thing anymore. my bad. Let's not do this stupid. You get what I'm saying? So then why did we ever elect this guy a second time? What the fuck? So like, it's again, you learned enough from the stupid before. But then there was this guy in between that confused you. You know, Biden confused y'all or something. You thought that the stuff that Biden was doing to help the country was somehow Trump doing something. Like, what the fuck? I don't even understand that. Doesn't make any sense. So anyway, I hope I've helped to shine a light on a little bit of conceptual thinking, but you know, that's the point. Is a lot of what I can do and talk about is because of conceptual thinking. You know, that the idea that you can subdivide your mind into categories and then thus understand more things. So, just saying. It's how one establishes a decent BS detector too. You know, like just that's how you do it. You just know certain things about certain things, and if they're this way or this way, they mean this. So therefore, bullshit. You know, it's true. That's how it works. That's how anybody with that BS detector is doing it. They know certain things, they're adding it up already, and they're kind of going. You know, they're giving you the sideways like. It's the same thing I do. You remember, this is what I told you guys I used to do with people that didn't know politics. That's how I would have the BS detector. The reason I would have that is because oftentimes people with politics way back before, you know, they started paying a little bit more attention now, they would often read, you know, just a headline for an article. This was like a phase or a headline. And the article would take 30 seconds. It would be a 30-second read. But it was like a phase where a headline for a while would say like opposite of what the article said for clickbait stuff. To get, you know, MAGA to clickbait it and stuff like that. And truthfully, they weren't even clicking. so many people, and this is how I would BS detect them. They would tell me something, and the reason I knew that they would think this was because I had just been on like my phone or something where I saw this article too. And that's the only reason they're thinking that, because it's not it's not the case. The point is the headline is a lie to get you to read the article. So the whole point was I would read the articles fucking 30 seconds. You know, so I would just take the 30 seconds to read the article and be like, mother, it's a fucking lie. Literally, what does that headline say? It was literally opposite. And then I'd read the article and it's literally the opposite. And several people that are Trump voters are like swearing up and down this one thing is true about Democrats or something like that. And the reason they think that is because they're saying conveniently the statement that's in the headline of the article. So they're saying exactly as the statement says in the headline, and they're saying it to me, and it's like, I wonder where this line of thinking came from. Brainwashing, dirk-a-dirk-a-dirk-a-dee-dur. So again, these people can't read the article, but they can be brainwashed by a fucking headline that says the opposite. And yeah, that's exactly what Russia does. They just make fucking news articles, call them news articles. It's 30 seconds. And it's not really an article. And again, the headline will say complete opposite of what the article states. Just to get you to think that. Because you didn't read it. They know that. They know you don't read shit. And that would happen all the time. And, yeah. It's like, gee, I'm detecting some bullshit here. Yeah. I didn't just see that article myself today, too, and then take the 30 seconds to read it to find out it was bullshit. But now I have like 3, 4, 5 different fucking MAGA voters telling me this exact same fucking thing, all worded exactly the same way. I wonder where they got that from. So, just saying. Guys, just throwing that one out there. That was a freebie. I am wrapping it up now, though. Okay. I wanted to give you guys a little freebie there. Try to help you out with the conceptual thinking. But, truthfully, a lot of what I do with IQ, like intelligence and stuff like that, it's conceptual thinking. It's because I know these things, therefore I can arrive at this conclusion about this. It's educated guesses a lot of times, based on conceptual thinking. And you get it right. You get it right. You do. Because again, you can't tell me that that's wrong, because it's exactly where they got it from. It's exactly why they were saying that. Obviously, I saw that article that same day, I thought that too, and then read the thing, and it went, damn, I would have thought that if I hadn't read the... And then several other people that want that to be the narrative because they vote for Trump came up to me and couldn't wait to tell me this thing, but it was just fucking wrong. And they wanted to latch on to it because they just want Trump to be right. They want to be right about him and shit like that. So it was a fucking sports team. It wasn't people voting. It was a fucking sports team. And again, just needs to go away. You need to stop. You need to be a fucking adult and have responsibility and actually represent something that means something instead of voting for somebody like they're a fucking sports team. This is dangerous. This is why I think voting there should be legislation passed that makes sure any voter, again, your voter rights, in my opinion, we should pass legislation to have people's voter rights taken until they pass reading comprehension tests. In my opinion, you need a certain level of reading comprehension if you're going to vote. You got to be able to read the fucking ballot, right? You got to be able to inform yourself and understand in this mumbo jumbo, completely irresponsible media mess. You got to be able to discern for yourself what's true. Otherwise, we get what's happening. Otherwise, we get a coup. Somebody that tries to take advantage of that. So yeah, there needs, absolutely. And I think that the Democrats, knowing that, might want to kind of focus in that direction a little bit moving forward. Might want to start talking about that a little bit. Because, again, this can't happen anymore. And it would help with that, for sure. You know, just, again, take away those voter rights. If people can't even pass a reading comprehension test, they don't deserve to vote. No. Because they're voting like a sports team. They didn't become informed before trying to vote. They just voted. That's all. Because, again, reading comprehension is everything. If you don't have any reading comprehension, you can't comprehend, again, what a news reporter's telling you either. You can't. It's academics. It's ability to understand the language. You can't. You're dumb. It's true. I'm not trying to be rude. It's true. People's brains, academics, language is a lot of stuff. It really does. It really does start with that. And these days, people don't even. Yeah, I mean, like, nobody even uses a dictionary anymore. You want to look up a definition of a word, you Google it, right? So yeah. I mean, I can't even remember. Truthfully, anymore. You ask somebody to define a word organically, they can't do it. They'll try to look it up. Because you know the age-old rule, right? You cannot define a word by using that word in said definition. If you did, you didn't define it. You have to use different words. Because you use the same word in the definition. How did that define it? You used it in a sentence, but you didn't define it. That doesn't define the word. Doesn't tell somebody what it means to use it in a sentence. You must use it without use. And almost no, like, it's a real academic skill, actually. So, that's a good way to test yourself. You should be able to organically define words without using said word in the definition. So, there's a very, very, very good way to academically test your ability to, I don't know about necessarily reading comprehension, but, again, just understanding more words, bigger words, and stuff like that, challenging yourself with words. Where, again, you're not referencing something, you're understanding it and having to come up with something organically yourself. And then that gives you a better understanding of it because you did that. Does that make sense? So, that's something you can do. I think it's actually can be fun at times to do that because it can be a little bit of a challenge. It's sort of like a Trivial Pursuit sort of thing, And that's another thing that you can do. Trivial Pursuit's actually a really, really good way to boost your IQ. It is. You have to read the cards to know the answer. It is. It's a good way to boost your IQ. Stuff like that. So, highly recommend stuff like that. And then don't be the jerk. And what you have to realize about Trump is a guy like that, he's going to play Trivial Pursuit, and if he's wrong, he's going to be like, no, I'm not. The card's wrong. And then you'll Google it, and then he'll claim Google's wrong, and he'll sue Google or something like that. Like it's that, That's what you have to realize about somebody like that. So, it's only gotten worse. Obviously, he enables the behavior and allows adults to be like this. This is something that adults got over, you know, when they you know, weren't around, you know, this absurd, immature group of people all the time, you know. It's like when they left school, basically, you know, and just moved on from that stuff. So the whole point is that anybody that doesn't, that you know, they live in that space, they live in that world where they never, again, they never, you know, I guess they always had that person, you know. They could always hire, you know, like, again, Trump can hire anybody, you know. So, that's the point. So, out of the course of me sitting here and saying something about my short, we've had several people watch it and comment, and one of the comments is actually pretty fucking stupid, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit really quickly. So this comment, as you guys know, my short, you know, that I posted, it's pretty straightforward, pretty easy to understand. And this person commented, "There is a difference between wealth and income. Did you know that?" So I don't know what this comment's supposed to actually mean or what it's actually asking me. Are you actually asking me after I made that short if I know that there's a difference between wealth and income? Yes, I did, and I do know that. Not sure why you're stating that on the comment. I'm assuming it's some sort of attempt, you know, at a debate, but it's sort of not anything that's debatable because, again, you're just asking me if I knew the difference between wealth. Like, if there was a difference between... Yep, I know. So, kind of a stupid fucking question. And again, I'm not talking about wealth. The short very clearly stated what I was talking about, and it was income, and I used very specific figures. I wasn't talking about wealth. So, yeah, actually, if anything, the whole point is that proves my theory even more. So the fact that they're adding wealth and income, there's a difference, yeah. So that proves it even more. The whole point is the sum of their wealth, you know, the value of a person is the sum of their wealth and not just their income. I was doing figures based on income. I don't know why this dumbass is asking me there's a difference between wealth and... What do you think, there's tax on wealth? What are you, fucking stupid? There's property tax, there's fucking tax where you this and that. And, no, they take care of that. Okay? Local, this, state, that, and yada, yada, yada. They take care of all that stuff in the in-betweens. And then you're actually sitting here and offering this as what the fuck are you talking about? What the hell does that have to do with what I'm talking about? What the fuck does this question even mean? This is like why I don't understand where people are even coming from. This person has such a dumb question that has nothing to do with anything I'm talking about. And then I'm left wondering why the fuck they even asked it. Yes, I knew that. Why even fucking ask? There is a difference between wealth and income. Did you know that? Yes. What? And then again, to further add to that, you even adding that there's a difference between the two supports my theory even more. Again, what I was doing was a very specific figure on taxing wealthy people. Again, somebody that is a billionaire. We're talking about fucking billionaires here. Okay? And I'm talking about their income. Okay? So yes, a person that is a billionaire is a wealthy person. But yes, I also realize wealth and income are different things. So to the scammer, idiot, dumbass that's trying to get me to define these English words and doesn't understand them, that posted that 3 minutes prior to me talking about language, that's trying to figure out the differences, there it is, idiot. Like it's like clear that they're just doing this to, alright, there it is, moron. Like, clearly you don't know, and you're hijacking the stream to try to figure this out. So, yes, wealth is the sum of everybody's, again, they own all these jets and these houses and stuff like that. Yeah, it's the sum of all of that, okay? So, yes, somebody that's rich because of their income is considered wealthy. Doesn't somehow take away from what I said. What you said, if anything, adds more to it. So, again, it's just kind of a stupid thing to ask. I'm just saying it really is. Like, there's a difference between wealth and income. Did you know that? Yes, clearly I do. But again, a rich person, somebody that's a billionaire, is referred to as a wealthy, or they are wealthy. They have wealth. The fuck? Are you stupid? So I don't, again, that's what a dumb fucking comment. But this is the reality. Is, we get these very botted, stupid fucking comments. And then I gotta talk about it. We don't actually have any, real conversation going on anymore. I mean, I can almost guarantee you the person knows it's a stupid fucking comment, too. You know what I mean? Like, somebody else commented, wow, the debt would be paid off in no time, 3 years. Yeah, so that's actually an intelligent comment. Right, exactly, that's the point. The debt would be paid off in no time. The point is it would be much easier to balance the budget. Like, obviously that's the point. Obviously the point is if you tax people, if you tax, like multiplying a low number a shitload of times doesn't do a lot. Multiplying a really fucking high number a few hundred times or 1,000 times does a fuckload more. That's just basic math. It's that simple. That's the point of the fucking video. Okay? The whole point of the video was that. Okay? It's basic math. So the moron that's the businessman that knows this, that you elected because he's a businessman and he's the businessman in charge, okay, he knows this. He knows that already. That is an elementary thing they teach you in fucking business school. They teach you that. This isn't something I thought of on my own either. Like, I've heard it before, too. It's not just something I created. No, it's basic math. And you can be taught this. Trump knows these things, and he's taking advantage of anybody that doesn't. It's also why a lot of people that are in business have realized it. And they're being silenced. So again, stop thinking that your businessman that you elected because he's a businessman is so successful, because he's not. He just lies about it. You do know there is a difference between wealth and income. Actually ask. Actually asks that. YouTube is so trash. So, through the course of this stream, YouTube, let me see if they changed it for permanently. Throughout the course of this stream, even from when I first started the stream, YouTube has changed the look of the website from when I started the stream. And it hasn't changed in, I don't even know how long. Probably like fucking like 7-8 years. And they've changed again since I started the stream, because I looked at it at the start of the stream. I saw that it had a different button and again had that search function, and now the search function is missing. So they took that out for me just because I said it was a function on YouTube. So remember how I said you could search people's channels and stuff? They actually removed this function from my channel after I said this. Isn't that crazy? After I said it, they removed it from my channel. Isn't that crazy? They actually removed the function. Insane, right? Yeah. I think it's pretty insane. Yeah, so basically what they're doing, yeah, and then there's 4 dislikes on this stream. So basically what they're doing is as I sit here and stream, if I have any device open that has like my control room, my YouTube control room, they hack that device and they change something. They fuck with something to get me to respond. That's all they're doing. Every time I'm live, every stream, every single one, that's all they're doing. All I have is the YouTube control room open, logged in, like I should, looking at my stream, not watching the stream, it's not playing. I'm just, again, I have the control room open so I can pay attention to, again, views or the chat or whatever is going on with the stream, and pay attention to the health of the stream and stuff like that. And, you know, as I would have that open, it's very clear that they do things to break it and break OBS. They're basically they're breaching through that to break OBS, to break that, to break, you know, whatever. So basically what they did was they changed this so that throughout the course of the stream, and again, I've never seen this before. I've never seen this. Yeah. So what it's supposed to say on the website is it's supposed to say edit channel, manage channel. That's what it's supposed to say. And then you have like a search bar. So instead, I have no managed channel. I physically can't manage my channel anymore. I can't do it. I cannot go in and edit my videos anymore. I just literally don't have it. That button is gone. So just like revert to original, just like when they literally sat here and every time they took away you know, clipping feature of the ability to stream horizontally from the app, everything that has broken throughout the years, this is only the latest thing. So I got on the stream and told you about many scams that are happening on YouTube and made them look very bad. So now they have broken the button that's supposed to be on my page that says manage channel. It now just is a button that says edit channel, and again the edit channel button just takes you in to edit, you know, like the icon and stuff. There's nothing to do with your videos or anything like that. So something tells me that this is a scam where they are virtually doing that by creating a manage channel button for themselves, and then they can go in and fuck around with anything they want. And that's a very serious scam. I obviously am recording evidence of it right as we speak even. But I just wanted to let you know that even from when I started the stream, something is, you know, just like I said at the beginning of the stream, you know, they always change something. They always sit here and break something, change something. So even from the start of this stream, that has been broken. And I was right. The stream Distance, the game that I played called Distance, yeah, it's still sitting at 31 views. Just exactly that view count. And that was what it was at the other day when I showed you on stream, and they locked it at that view count and just started lying. You know, it's just like we're sitting in here and you see 5 view count. You know, like 5 is the view count. Oh, it's like literally, there's obviously more people in the stream than 5. So, the point is, they're doing this, they're breaking this, because they want you to use Chrome. If you remember, I shit on Chrome, deservingly, because Google Chrome is the worst piece of shit browser on the planet, next to Microsoft Edge. So the whole point is they want, you know, again, they want you to use that so that they can sit here and fuck with your stuff, and spy on you and mess with. So that's the whole point. They did this to continue breaking things so that way I can't use a VPN, I can't use ad blockers, yada yada yada. All my shit is breached and spied on and hacked. Again, just because I want to use Chrome. And that's why they're doing this, because again, anybody using a browser that has ad blockers and VPN built into it, they are sitting here and breaking those things and attacking people on purpose. And that's what this is really about. except obviously that's illegal. They can't do that. So that's what we've been documenting. We've been documenting the fact that they've been attacking, breaking things, and lying. So, just telling you guys about that really quick and telling you about the latest thing that has happened. That's all. So if you notice, as we're dealing with this, as this just happened, if you notice, again, there are only 5 people on the stream. Exactly 5. No more, no less. Exactly 5 this whole time. Just a locked number the whole time. Keep that in mind. And keep in mind that the scammer sat here and put the likes at the same amount as the views, where it's almost like it's a communication, 5, and then concurrence are at 5. And then as soon as you see a 6th one try to come in here, it jolts down to 5. So I'm also sitting here watching the concurrent graph, and the concurrent graph lies. So if a 6th one was in here, I'm watching as they subtract that and make it 4. Yep, I'm watching as they lie, and they remove views that already happened from the past. And we've talked about this before, about how, in some streams I record screenshots of it saying one thing, and then a few seconds later, that little graph recording the concurrent changes to something completely different, almost as if they're trying to lie to the system about how many views are being counted and recorded. And that's what they're doing. They're removing watch time hours. So it just removes all evidence of the view. So again, I'm sitting in here documenting that and recording all evidence of it. The fact that, again, at various times, that graph says a completely different thing. It'll just remove it, take it down to 4 count, and then up to 6, up to 7. Oh, that's not 7, it's 3. And then jolts back up to 7 again, back down to 3. The same part of the graph, where, again, that graph was all the way up here, but now they have changed it and they're lying about it, almost as if it didn't happen. And Trump does this. It's the same thing that he's doing to Obama, where he's trying to sit here and lie and remove like Obama's legacy and stuff like that, and just lie about stuff that happened with Obama. So again, just as we're, again, as I said about the 5 concurrents, we see a 6th concurrent in here, and then the scammer sits in here and likes it up to 6. Just as I'm talking about and confirming that this is a pattern we're seeing, the scammer sits in here and does exactly what I just said. Again, so 6, and then we see that 6th like show up. So again, it was a 5th concurrent, and we had 5 likes, and now we see a 6th concurrent where we see that 6th like show up. I'm going to go ahead and record and document the evidence of that, but it's important to remember that YouTube is only counting 79 views out of all these views that we've seen. And again, that's the whole point. The whole point is that this is a locked concurrent. If I come in the stream on another account, or I get somebody else to come in the stream, and we sit there and we see what happens, there's no change. There's no change. It just says the same thing. That's the point. So that's how we know. And that's how you know, too. We've been seeing this non-stop. And other channels are confirming it, too. They're trying to do like raids and stuff like that, where they are allowed to come in here and use legitimate raids, legitimate views, and come in and raid the stream and stuff like that. And they're doing that and seeing all their people come in, but then YouTube just sits here and doesn't count the views. And they're bringing all these people in, and they know they're coming in here, and YouTube literally is not counting a single view. And there's just shitloads of people pouring into my stream, and YouTube's not counting a single view. And this is how we're going to win our court case, because a while back, what happened was we had a streamer on here hijack my channel and come in and raid my chat, all for the purpose of bullying my channel and being nasty to me. And that's exactly what he did. You know, again, this was before I understood, you know, the raid term. I didn't know what it was. And I had misunderstood. So I was just telling people not to spam. You know, I wasn't trying to be rude. Just, you know, if you spam, you're going to get blocked. Because it's very obvious you shouldn't spam somebody's chat. You don't just type the same thing. So I didn't know what raid was. So they were typing raid and they could have just told me. But immediately, his entire chat insulting me, being nasty. And I'm a nice person. I was just playing Fortnite, trying to be nice, but I was just trying to control the fact that my chat, if my chat would fucking flip out, it would cause problems. So I have to control that. And meanwhile, there's a spam in chat with raid. I don't know what the fuck this means. So the point is, I go to this guy, I react to him, and I fully admitted that I was wrong and apologized to that streamer. They didn't make it right. Nope. Their channel secretly stalked and harassed me for fucking ever. And this is what that guy does. That guy sits there and he plays Fortnite and looks for people to watch so that he can gain viewers from their channels. That's what he's doing. And he even admitted, he was like, oh, let's go and see who else is playing and stuff like that. Like, the whole point is he's admitting it's mutually beneficial. So the whole point is this guy comes in here for this because it's mutually beneficial, and he's going to act like an asshole? Like, again, all it was that I didn't know this term. Okay. So then again, I'm fully admitting that it was my fault, and I apologize and everything after that. But the whole point was that nothing changed, and if anything, it got far worse. I got harassed, I got stalked. All these problems. Because this guy's a fucking piece of trash that literally uses his fucking channel as a cult. Because that's all that happened. And, so yeah, I learned very quickly after that point that there's streamers like this. That there will be streamers like this that won't understand you don't fucking use your channel like a damn cult. What the hell? No, like, and then another channel was doing this too, being nasty to people and stuff like that. And you know, if you're watching a certain streamer, then you're gonna get blocked and stuff. Like, this is how people were acting. And meanwhile, I'm just sitting there trying to stream. So anyway, you know, the whole point is that YouTube attacks people when these things happen. They take advantage. They do. And that's all that happened. I mean, they know that. It's right on my fucking channel. I mean, it's just like the email where I was emailing them, and I literally made a video clip of the thing I was emailing them and reporting about. I made a clip. preemptively, then sent them the link of the clip in the email that I reported to them. And then they replied with the laziest do-nothing fucking reply ever that told me they don't do their jobs. Because when they replied, they said, "Can you make a clip of the thing you're talking about and send it to us?" Jesus fucking Christ! That's the email that you just read! I had to actually follow up with, "Did you read the email?" to a Google employee. Because he clearly didn't! I had already made a clip and sent it. And my lawyer loved that. He's like, "Holy shit, these people are incompetent. You can sue the hell out of them." I'm like, I know! Every day, they're this incompetent. Jesus Christ! This is what you have to realize about Google and YouTube. And I realized it very quickly. They hire incompetent people. The CEO, he's incompetent too. Remember, Microsoft does this too, right? Right? They have incompetent executives, right? Because that's why nothing's happening, right? That's the point. The CEO of Google was being eyed for the CEO position of Microsoft before he was hired for Google. I swear to God. I swear to God. That's a real thing. I swear to God. Yep. It's almost like these idiots look for incompetency. There's nothing competent. This guy's done nothing! Google Chrome? That's what you did? You helped launch Google, the disastrous Chrome? The disastrous Google Maps that were always wrong when you first launched them? That would crash? And they were wrong? And they were just garbage? Jesus. And this guy's the CEO because he helped launch some programs. That's his qualification. There's not other people at the company that did that too, that also worked on those programs, that are probably far more qualified. No. This guy. Because, Indian American. Like, that's basically it. That's what I'm looking at. Because I just don't see what the fuck's he doing for the company? Except taking a bigger paycheck and fucking you in the ass. Anyway, I'm gonna leave you with that. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it.